Oh.
Sorry.
No.
Poll question, something to do with Harbaugh?
I didn't know if you wanted to go Dolphins with.
What was the one we were going to do yesterday? Belichick?
Belichick. Do we just put what will Jim Harbaugh's success be at?
I was going to say
Chargers.
I was going to say, does Jim Harbaugh lead the Chargers to the playoffs next season or something like that? Playoffs, AFC Championship game, like for his tenure. Is that what you're saying?
How long is Jim Harbaugh the coach of the LA Chargers for?
Over under 2.5 years.
I'd go 3.5, but that's.
Yeah, I'd go 3.5. I
mean, if you want to do it really easy, does Jim Harbaugh win a Super Bowl with the LA Chargers? Get to or win, whichever one. It's National Florida Day, everyone.
Well, as if I needed a reason to celebrate tonight.
There you go.
What about Hurricane? Hurricane! Hurricane!
What about him? What'd he do?
I don't know.
Someone might have just wanted your impression this morning, David.
Wow.
Yeah. When are you in town next?
End of February.
I wonder if that show will still be on the air by the end of February so you can listen while you're here.
Do you listen for amusement?
It's the worst single thing I've ever heard. Ever.
I have had multiple people tell me it's the worst show they've ever heard in their life.
Ever.
And so I'm wondering if people are exaggerating.
They're not.
Okay.
ECHL standings yesterday at one point. He was breaking down the Panthers-Coyotes game, calling them the Coyotes.
Hey, local.
And but Florida has 172 goals on the season. They've given up 114. That's, and I'm not exaggerating, David. That's what I heard. You know what? I don't know the exact numbers, but I'm going. So he's got the score app up and he's got the head-to-head and he's just reading the head-to-head.
Yeah, that's brutal. Brutal.
And I'm amazed because he comes back from break with Fangio and the Dolphins. Like, that's a topic, man. That's a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
And you have it right why it breaks. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's like that's.
This is Brad Collins-esque, isn't it?
No, Brad was way better.
Yeah.
So the Eagles are pursuing Fangio? Is that what the rumor is?
Yeah. Remember, he signed as a consultant with them leading into the Super Bowl. and he's got family apparently in Pennsylvania, and he wants to be closer to his family.
He wanted to leave ambient.
Okay, here we go.
Okay.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Top of the morning to you. Man, these days, nothing is happening. How's your week going? We got over the hump together. How the heck are you? Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Thanks so much for being with us. I come at you from Richmond, Kentucky. Hello. Which is about 30 miles south of Lexington, home of the University of Kentucky. I'm in town to broadcast a little college basketball. Mark and Trent back in the cozy confines. Good morning, Mark. How are you?
I'm doing well, David, and I'm really excited that you're in Richmond, Kentucky, because I never knew until yesterday that there was a Richmond, Kentucky. So I learned something, and I know not only do I know that it exists, I know where it is, and I've driven through it.
Well, it's right off of I-75.
That's what I'm saying. Now that I think of it, I've driven through it.
Yes, you have. Yes, you have. So for all of you in Southwest Florida, Lake City, and what have you, just continue north on I-75 for, a few hundred miles. And by a few hundred from Southwest Florida, I think it's got to be close to 1,000.
Yeah. About 14 hours in there.
Yeah. So there you go. You know, from Lake City, it's about a 10-hour drive.
There you go.
So there you have it. And then literally right off I-75, you pull up, boom, there it is. Bunch of hotels and restaurants and the university down the road to the right. So, Eastern Kentucky in first place in the ASUN. So there you go. Off to their best start in 45 years in conference play. And the natives are when you get greeted, Mark, at the hotel lobby, and they're wearing the university shirt. I said, you go to school there? He said, no, we're just really excited.
That's great.
Okay.
That's great. That's what you yearn for with these little schools, to have the community type of involvement, getting the local fan base excited about the collegiate team in town. That's all a positive.
Yeah. So I'll spend a few days in Kentucky. I will say very fired up. Saturday, Jacksonville is playing Bellarmine in Louisville because that's where Bellarmine's located. Bellarmine plays their games at historic Freedom Hall. You know, where Denny Crum in Louisville became a thing. So I'm fired up about that. You know, I love
another high-level college basketball venue that you've worked, David. That's
totally
pretty cool.
Yeah. So to have done games this year from Mackey, to only do about, a little more than a half dozen games, I will have done games from Mackey and Freedom Hall. All right. That'll work.
David, we have plenty of time to talk about this, but yesterday I was a little verklempt when I saw the news of Vic Fangio and the Dolphins parting way.
I was stunned. And apparently, Vic went to them and said, I just, South Beach may be for some, but it's not for me. Huh. Okay. I'm a little surprised, and I'm serious about this, that they just let him go.
I am too. That's the part of this. I mean, obviously, Fangio wanted to leave, and if someone doesn't want to be there, do you really want them there? But boy, oh boy.
Can't get a draft pick for him? I mean, even the throw-in 7th-round pick, we couldn't get a 6th, 7th-round pick for Vic Fangio? I mean, the Eagles want him that badly. You sure? I mean, are they not going to – I mean, think about it. Sirianni's job is on the line next year. He's blowing out the guts of his staff. Vic's who he wants. You mean to tell me he can't pound the table enough to get a 6th, 7th-round pick sent to the Dolphins for him? Now, it's a gentleman's thing to do, but
it's
remember,
a gentleman's thing to do for an increase in, and it'll be an increase in pay, and maybe he'll be an associate head coach, defensive coordinator, but it is a lateral move. Usually the gentleman's agreement is when someone's making a move up the chain, David, not laterally.
well, and I don't know if he'll get a raise because remember, the Dolphins made him the highest paid coordinator in the league. I mean, I think he was making like $2.4 million. I don't know if it's going to be a raise. And you throw in taxes, I'll bet you Vic won't take home as much money with the Eagles, which is where he's reportedly going. And let's hope he goes there because remember, Vic Fangio was Jim Harbaugh's defensive coordinator in San Francisco. And Jim Harbaugh is now back in the NFL.
And I know that's the lead story nationally, but we are the Florida Sports Network. And when I saw Fangio leaving the Dolphins, it just raised my eyebrows in a big way. That defense started figuring things out at the end of the year.
Very much so. And the defense, even completely undermanned, performed pretty darn well against the Chiefs in that weather. I mean, they didn't lose games down the stretch because of the defense. Got shredded in Baltimore. They did. Got shredded.
Everybody got shredded in Baltimore.
Yeah, so far. But yeah, that defense, once Jalen Ramsey was added to the lineup, statistically was the top 5 defense in the league. So this was such a significant addition a year ago. How can this not be a significant loss? I mean, sorry, can't have it both ways. You can't say, that our biggest signing of the offseason was Vic Fangio one year and then just go, well, Vic wanted to be closer to family and we got plenty of people in mind. Well, it's got to be one or the other. So I'm with you. I think it's significant. Never mind the fact it's now going to be third system in 3 years.
Well, we were already talking about whether or not McDaniel's going to be calling plays this year. Did he need to give up play calling? So now you enter the offseason with a lot of question marks on both sides of the football of how the Dolphins are going to get their business done next year.
And with a different system, potentially, does that change maybe a move or two that Chris Greer was going to make in the offseason as to who they keep and who they don't? Because remember, the Dolphins have salary cap decisions. So I'm with you. But the big NFL news, of course, is Jim Harbaugh. He's back. About 10 years later. He spent 4 years in San Francisco. First 3, they went to the NFC Championship game all 3 years. One time they won it and got to the Super Bowl. His 4th and final year, he went 8-8, and he divorced them, and boy, were they ready to divorce him. I mean, they wanted to get rid of him so badly, they hired Jim Tom Sula to replace him, and they rejoiced. That's how badly it ended. Five-year deal with the Chargers. I will say, you want to have some fun, start following the Chargers on social media. They have a very fun social media page. They equated it to like a papal, announcement. They had the white smoke. They've changed their logo is not the Charger, the Bolt. It's just a picture of Harbaugh. And it's a wacky one at that. So they're having some fun with it. He's going to win. He is. It's what he does. He's going to win. And so, Mark, now the question is, I mean, you and the Chargers have met with attorneys. You've ironed out the divorce. The paperwork, in fact, has been typed up. You haven't signed it. It's arriving in the mail this week for you to sign. Did you and the Chargers just get a reprieve from the governor?
No. If anything, this doubles me down going the other way to complete my divorce.
Oh, no. It's over?
And they remarry. If this is a remarriage, it's going to go really well for them, David, for a short time. It's going to end up in another divorce with Harbaugh as it blows up in 3.5, 4, whenever this blows up. It could be really good until then. But as much as I couldn't stand where the guy coached before, it's where he belonged. And it really pains me to see Jim Harbaugh leave Saturdays. It really and truly does. I knew it was coming. I knew this was inevitable. And it's the next logical move for him. He's getting chased by the NCAA. They have set their sights on Harbaugh. And if he was at Michigan, the penalties were coming. So I understand why he's leaving. But it sucks for college football.
College football has lost Nick Saban and Jim Harbaugh in a couple weeks.
Just the faces of two conferences.
Not only that, 3 of the 4 coaches who coached schools in the playoff are no longer coaching the schools that they coached in the playoff. And since Nick retired before Jim left, Kalen DeBoer ended up at Alabama because he probably would have ended up at Michigan. But I'm with you. This to me has a bit of a, Coach K, Jim Boeheim, Roy Williams, all leaving college basketball within like 12 months of one another. Who is the face of college football now?
Kirby?
Well, that's what we wondered when Nick left. Who's the authoritative figure? Who's the one that's going to start speaking out about the major issues involved in college football and have the voice that people are going to respect and listen to?
That is a great question, because I don't know if Kirby has that respect factor yet. He's a really good coach, really good recruiter.
But he's not a statesman.
No.
I think it's going to take a few years before someone like that surfaces, and it could be Dabo.
Dabo's not either. It's too...
He's controversial enough, though. I mean, he's outspoken enough. I don't know if this mess with the religious. ACC plays into it.
Well, there is the religion factor, which will alienate some. But the other thing is that Dabo doesn't seem to be willing to, he's not fully embracing, he's not fully a part of all the issues that are in college football right now. I mean, he's virtually ignoring the transfer portal. How much of a statesman can you be talking for the sport if you're ignoring one of the major issues in it? So I feel as if there's a void, there's a leadership, there's a stature void in college football, but it's the NFL's gain, baby.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6 and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
Mark Miller for Molly Maid. Why Molly Maid, you ask? Trust. Moulton was a customer for 15 years. Affordability. Didn't I just say Moulton was a customer for 15 years? Worry-free services. Our professional house cleaners are fully insured and a 24-hour warranty. Call Molly Maids today at 239-774-5839. That's 239-774-5839 or online at mollymaid.com/FTMYERS. That's mollymaid.com/FTMYERS.
The law firm of Michael F. Hornung specializes in criminal defense, DUI, personal injury, nursing home claims, and auto accidents. I'm a former prosecutor with over 34 years of experience. The information I know is information you need to know. If you've been arrested for a DUI, time is of the essence to maintain your driving privileges. Call the law firm of Michael F. Hornung for a free consultation. At the law firm of Michael F. Hornung, we are committed to excellence in your representation. Being a local attorney with local knowledge is clutch to the success of your case. For over 30 years, we have successfully represented the citizens of Southwest Florida. For a free consultation, call 239-437-0095. That's 239-437-0095. Our offices are conveniently located in Fort Myers. Visit online at mfh-law.com.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Wait a minute. There's a bad Waffle House? Really, Sonny? How can you go wrong with a Waffle House?
Morning.
Eh, How about those Panthers? I'm assuming he's talking Florida.
Yes.
I mean, it was the
Sonny is
Coyote.
very fired up that you were at Eastern Carolina today. Very fired up. Want you to meet the tennis coach.
With the women's basketball coach, I thought I saw. Tennis coach too? I'm not going to meet the tennis coach.
Oh, the women's coach. Sorry.
Okay. But my guess is, Sonny, that because I think the way the A-Sun does it, if the men are here, that the women are there, if you know what I mean. Because I know when Jacksonville was at FGCU was at Jacksonville on the women's side, which is really stupid, by the way, because it doesn't give staff a week off. It means every single Thursday, Saturday, you're hosting games. Because one week it's the men and the next week it's the women. And you're just absolutely grinding staffs of all these schools into the ground. Never mind from a travel standpoint. Can travel together. Now everybody's traveling separate.
Here we go.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
21 minutes past the hour. Top of the morning to you. How the heck are you? We are Miller and Moulton. This is the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. I come at you from Kentucky, eastern part of the state. After all, I'm at Eastern Kentucky University. Broadcast a little college hoops in the state of Kentucky over the next few days. What the heck? Football's done. You know me. My wife and I can't spend that much time together. I mean, we're still fond of one another because we are. We are.
Is that because you don't spend time together?
Ah, there you go. Now you're catching on. See, so I'll do college hoops for as long as I can. And then the clock starts. Like, this is it. I got nothing. Once the show's done, I'm home. So you're home and I'm home. And let's see how long we can do this. And so then, much like I think our poll question is going to be about Jim Harbaugh and his length of stay in the NFL, the game that I play with my wife, there's two games that I play with my wife. One is...
Are you sure you can say them on air?
I can, because
okay,
I'm 50,
just checking.
I'm 58 years old and she's in her mid-50s, so it's not like any of those games are. So the one game is, how long does it take for her to notice my haircut? I've had 3 haircuts and she hasn't, in a row, and she hasn't commented about any of them. All right. So that's either A, how much time I'm spending away, or B, how very little she even glances at me anymore. So that's number one game that's being played. But the second one is, how long, what day on the calendar is the first time she says, so when does football season start again? And that's the first indication that you're starting to get on my nerves.
I'm going to go with, sometime in late April, she'll ask for the first time.
I do the draft. And that's the line over under the draft. So I'm going to do college hoops for as long as I can this year, and then see whether or not I can make it to the draft before I start annoying her. I mean, heck, I try to get to about 8:30 before I start annoying you. So, I think a draft's a pretty good goal to have.
I like it. You mentioned we're talking about Harbaugh and how long, is it? He's going to be successful. And we got to ask in the Twitch chat room, well, what makes you think he's been gone so long? Because he's been successful everywhere he's been. All he's ever done is won at every level, all the time.
And his approach will always be successful. His approach is physical football at the line of scrimmage and a very simple but effective approach on offense. And he's versatile. He's creative. Remember, he's the one midstream who switched the Niners from Alex Smith to Kaepernick. He's not this rigid, inflexible guy. He was the one who unleashed Colin Kaepernick on us. And I know Kaepernick's become what he's become, but those first 3-4 years, that was a weapon that most of the NFL was like, what are we going to do with this guy? We can't run with him. If he decides to run the ball, we can't catch him. And he's not bad throwing it. What are we going to do? I mean, Kaepernick was Lamar before Lamar. He just derailed. Lamar's gotten better.
And he walks in with a really good quarterback. He's going to make Justin Herbert better. There's not a doubt in my mind about that. But how long before it all implodes? Because there's a shelf life with Jim.
No doubt. No doubt. And that's why, we thought the Harbaughs and the Urbans of the world are perfect for college, because how long are they there? About the shelf life. So then the new crop leaves and the new guys come in, and then he can, grind them 3, 4, 5 years. And then, oh man, I love the guy. Great coach. I got to get out of here. Well, good. It's time for you to leave. Next.
Don't think Nick didn't do the same thing, grinding guys down at Alabama.
Right.
You hear Alabama guys talk all the time in the pros going, these practices aren't anything compared to what they were on when we were at Alabama.
Hell, you heard it this year in Philadelphia, Jacksonville.
Yeah.
Former Alabama guys going, I got to admit, our practices were a lot more structured in college.
So Harbaugh with the Chargers, how long does it last?
So he got a 5-year contract.
Does he fulfill the contract?
Ooh, is that what you want the poll question to be? Or are we going to do an over-under? How many years?
It doesn't matter to me. Either one's fine.
Okay. Over-under 4.5. He lasted 4 last time. He's a little older. And because of it, don't know if he's got any place to go.
So 4.5 years for Harbaugh, over-under, that he's with the Chargers.
Yeah. Boy, think about that division. They've added Sean Payton and Jim Harbaugh to that division in the last 12 months.
Right.
All trying to chase down that Mahomes guy. That division really has become the AFC East with Brady. Man, Mahomes and Reed have totally messed up that division. Those franchises are just messes. That's what Mahomes and Reed have done to them. It really is. It's the AFC East all over again. It's Brady and Belichick. Just had a division totally in knots.
Well, think of what the Raiders have done since the time that Mahomes has come in. The turmoil with the now Vegas Raiders.
Right. And they made the big move with Gruden. That was their big coaching play. Mm-hmm.
They've blown out 2 coaches.
So Jim Harbaugh to the Chargers. He did it. I'm with you, Mark. I think it's a bigger loss for college football than it is gain for the NFL.
Totally. Because as we said in the last segment, who is the leader? Who is the coach that speaks up as the leadership role for college football?
This may sound very silly. And, all criticism that comes my way is justified. But, coaches have a bigger role in college than they do in the NFL and Major League Baseball and what have you. They just do. And in the NBA. As silly a comment as, so whose coach's interview are you waiting to see at halftime? What broadcast of college football right now in which they're going to talk to the coach walking off the field at halftime? And whether you realized it or not, for 17 years when you were watching Alabama, you didn't go to the restroom till first Tracy Wolfson and then, Allie LaForce and Jamie Erdahl and Jenny Dell stopped and talked with Nick Saban. You didn't. You whatever you were going to do for the next 18 minutes, waited until they talked to Nick. The last 9 years, Michigan was on TV. Okay, Jim Harbaugh, you had no idea what you're going to get from Jim Harbaugh. Probably going to get something closer to Popovich, but you waited. I mean, is there a coach right now that you're going to stop and go, hold on, I got to see this interview before we go to the store?
There's one for me, but they've got to be good, and they're not always good. It's Lane.
Okay.
And Brian Kelly to a certain degree, because you don't know what accent he's going to do the interview in. Miller and Moulton, the starting five is next. Thanks for listening.
Visit Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
When choosing something of high value and personal significance, such as a diamond, you want to shop with the best, and the mall is not the place to be. Here are my friends, Jason and Todd with the Diamond District.
Take a stroll in the mall, hop into a few jewelry stores, and you'll soon discover you're in the wrong place. Rings begin to look all alike. You're not finding GIA certified diamonds. You quickly realize you know more than a salesperson helping you, and all the same financing gets pushed on you.
Visit Jason and me, and you'll find America's top bridal designers dealing exclusively with the Diamond District. You'll find the largest selection of GIA certified diamonds, all priced 8 to 10% over cost. You'll find educated sales consultants who have many years' experience and are not paid commissions.
And you'll find Todd and me in the store nearly every day, wanting to shake your hand and welcome you to our Diamond District family.
Visit Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
The law firm of Michael F. Hornung specializes in criminal defense, DUI, personal injury, nursing home claims, and auto accidents. I'm a former prosecutor with over 34 years of experience. The information I know is information you need to know. If you've been arrested for a DUI, time is of the essence to maintain your driving privileges. Call the law firm of Michael F. Hornung for a free consultation. At the law firm of Michael F. Hornung, we are committed to excellence in your representation. Being a local attorney with local knowledge is clutch to the success of your case. For over 30 years, we have successfully represented the citizens of Southwest Florida. For a free consultation, call 239-437-0095. That's 239-437-0095. Our offices are conveniently located in Fort Myers. Visit online at mfh-law.com.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Mark, I have become you and your minor league hockey brethren.
Yeah.
I just realized it. I have fallen in love with the midday nap. I love being on the road and having the midday nap.
It's a wonderful thing.
Oh, my goodness. You should see my soundproofing wall. I have 5 pillows in front of me here.
So what do you guys think about if Dion ends up at a big school, a big program? Could he be that guy? And would he stay in college football long enough?
Well, Dion is all but ruled out going to the NFL, which I don't fully believe.
I don't either.
Because I think if the Cowboys called, he'd go.
But I'd be curious to see if Dion, if he ends up in the.
Well, he's got to win though. Like, what he did last year, a lot of attention and what have you. That was great. They went 4-8.
Yeah. I'm with you on that. But I just think, don't you think if he ended up at LSU or Florida State, especially in a 12-team playoff, they'd probably be in the playoffs almost every year.
Ambient, I'm telling you, he's going to leave Colorado because of his health. I don't see how a guy who has circulation problems can stay in the altitude. It can't be the best for his health. I mean, he nearly had his foot amputated. He's got circulation issues. I really think when his kids leave after this year, it's fair game. I know he's a loyal guy, but and he's grateful for Colorado for giving him the big time opportunity, and I actually think he likes being in the Big 12 because I think he'd much rather recruit Texas than California, but
Here's one that's outside the box. Say Texas has a few more good years. Sark?
it's possible, but it's going to take, somebody's got to win. Here's the other thing. We just lost 2 coaches who won national championships. How many active college football coaches have won a national championship? Mac Brown, Dabo,
and Kirby.
Because Jimbo's unemployed.
No, you're right. That's why I think, without a doubt, it's going to take a couple years to figure out who it's going to be, if anyone.
The quarterbacks on RCB can play on Sunday. Shador can play. Gus wasn't head coach when they won a national title, Wes. He was offensive coordinator. Gene Chizik was head coach.
So how long will Jim Harbaugh?
Here we go. Sorry, Mark.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
22 minutes before the hour. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. I'm in Richmond, Kentucky. Hello. How outdated is that, by the way? Doing the Larry King Live. Hello.
As outdated as anything we do on this show.
I didn't know what it was, put it that way.
Well, of course not.
I thought you were just doing a voice, because you often do that, too.
That's how we roll here on Miller and Moulton. Richmond, Kentucky, home of Eastern Kentucky University, EKU, doing a little college basketball in the state of Kentucky for the next few days. So that's why I'm here. Mark and Trent in the cozy confines. Roy Cummings will join us in an hour as we put the Bucs season to rest, although they may suffer their second big loss of the week. We'll talk about that 1 hour from now. Chris Perkins, the top of the 8 o'clock hour. Dolphins suffered a loss yesterday. And Seth Everett couldn't join us yesterday. He'll join us today for his weekly visit on Miller and Moulton. Right now it is time for
The Starting Five. 5 stories you need to know. It's the Starting Five on Miller and Moulton. Here's number 1.
Number 1 is the NFL, but it's got a major college connection to it. Jim Harbaugh is leaving Michigan and is the new head coach of the LA Chargers, signing a 5-year contract. Michigan expected to offer the job to offensive coordinator Sharon Moore. Moore, who stepped in and was the acting head coach for 4 of the 6 games that Harbaugh was suspended for last year. Jim Harbaugh at 60, back in the NFL with Justin Herbert and the Chargers, a 5-year deal, which leads to our poll question. Mark, what do we decide on?
How long will Jim Harbaugh be the coach of the LA Chargers? He signed a 5-year contract. We have under 4.5 years, over 4.5 years as your 2 choices.
There you go. He lasted 4 years the first time with the Niners. So over under 4.5 on Harbaugh in the NFL. Go to that Mark Miller, the David Moulton, FloridaSportsNetwork.com, and vote accordingly. Vic Fangio and the Dolphins agreed to split up yesterday. Mutually agreed. Vic wants to go be closer to family in Pennsylvania, and the Eagles have a defensive coordinator opening. If you remember, right before the Dolphins hired Fangio last year, Nick Sirianni hired Vic to be an advisor, I believe the official title was, for 2 weeks leading up to the Super Bowl for the Eagles game against the Chiefs. And in fact, if Vic hadn't inked the deal with the Dolphins, the word was, once the Eagles defensive coordinator got the Arizona job, that Nick would have hired him last year, and Vic would have gladly accepted. So Vic, with a little buyer's remorse, he went to Mike McDaniel and said, "Can I go to Philly?
I can't handle the pants anymore, Mike. I just can't handle the pants. I can't look at you with those things one more day."
I mean, you're goofy, he's goofy. I'd rather be there. So the Dolphins need a defensive coordinator. They're 3rd in 3 years. The Bucs may need an offensive coordinator. Dave Canales is a finalist for the Carolina Panthers job. He interviewed a second time yesterday. There's a connection. Dan Morgan, the new Grand Poobah, the Carolina Panthers. Dan Morgan and Canales spent time working together in the Seahawks organization. A lot of these jobs are connections. Like the thought is in Los Angeles, who's going to be the general manager who works with Jim Harbaugh? The thought is it's going to be Giants assistant general manager Brandon Brown. Why? Harbaugh and Brown know one another. Sometimes that's literally all it takes. Well, I can work with him. I know him. I like him. Besides, think about it. Jim's going to be the one barking orders. He just needs somebody he knows, likes, and trusts to take them. So Canales, now Vrabel's interviewing for a second time today in Carolina also. And that's after Vrabel interviewed for a second time in Atlanta yesterday. Mark, Belichick or Vrabel? You're Atlanta. Who would you hire?
Belichick. Bill
Vrabel?
Belichick. This is a 2-second question.
Okay.
And the first second's just to take a quick breath.
Okay. I'm just asking the question.
It's Bill Belichick. Can we quit this charade? If Atlanta doesn't hire him, they have screwed up, and they have screwed up royally.
Okay. Well, they're the Falcons. I mean, they've done it before. But, I mean, that's apparently the only team that has shown any interest in Bill Belichick. And a quarter of the league, Mark, had openings, for the record. And apparently only one is interested in hiring the second all-time winningest coach in league history. I'm just saying. There is some college football news. The ACC released their 17-team football schedule yesterday. That's right. Stanford, Cal, and SMU in the ACC. Cal's first ACC game is in Tallahassee against Florida State. Florida State at home will play Cal, BC, Clemson, North Carolina, and the Gators. Pretty good home schedule. Clemson, North Carolina Gators on your home schedule if you're a Florida State fan. That's pretty good. Away, Florida State will play Notre Dame, Miami, Georgia Tech in Dublin, and SMU. That's a schedule right there. Miami, by the way, good thing they got Florida State on the home schedule. Otherwise, their second best home game is probably Va Tech. Not a good home schedule. Meanwhile, on the road, Miami's playing Florida, South Florida, and Cal. Australian Open, Coco Gauff beaten in the semis 7-6, 6-4 by the 2-seed Sabalenka. This was a rematch of their U.S. Open final from 4 months ago when Gauff was a winner. Djokovic in action later today as he tries to advance to what I believe would be an 11th Australian Open final. He's 10 for 10 in the finals. Mark, did you hear this disturbing hockey story yesterday? 5 players from Canada's 2018 World Junior team have been asked to surrender in London, Ontario, to police to face sexual assault charges. The 5 players have not been named publicly. However, 5 players in and around the world have been granted their leave of absence from their respective teams in the last 24 hours. Wonder who the players then could be. 4 of them are in the NHL. 2 of them play for the Devils, Michael McLeod and Cal Foote. Remember yesterday at this time we wondered,
why did the goalie for the Philadelphia Flyers get an immediate leave of absence?
And Carter Hart. Now we know why. And Calgary's Dylan Dubé also granted a leave of absence. There's a player who used to be in the NHL. Now he's in Europe, Alex Formenton. He is the 5th player who's been granted a leave of absence by his team. And in his case, he's also been allowed to travel back to the U.S. and Canada. So there you have it. In the NHL last night, how about them Panthers? Right now, we'd bet on them to go back to the finals in the East, wouldn't we?
Yes.
They're the best team in the East right now. I know the Bruins have more points,
but they're playing better right now.
They're the best team in the East right now. Panthers 6-2 over Arizona. Speaking of the Bruins, they lost at home to Carolina.
I know. May have bet on them.
Toronto 1-0 in overtime over Winnipeg. Nathan McKinnon was pretty good last night. And by pretty good, we mean 4 goals and a helper. He had a natural hat trick. He scored 3 goals in the second period, all in a row. That is the original hat trick. 3 goals in a period, all of them in a row. Nathan McKinnon last night. Colorado beat Washington 6-2. Seattle beat Chicago by the same score. And the Blues in overtime over Vancouver 4-3. Doc Rivers was, in fact, officially named the new head coach of the Milwaukee Bucs. Man, did he stick it to ESPN? My goodness. They literally said to him when they were hiring him, listen, man, if you're going to take this job, you cannot leave and become a coach anymore. All right? It means you've coached your last game. I mean, we are blowing out Van Gundy and Jackson. They did this for a long time. Okay? We're doing this for you. The league wants you. You cannot coach again. Got it? Got it, man. Got it. I hear you. No, I'm done. I had my run. Yep. Didn't even make it to the All-Star break.
Nope.
Giannis with a triple-double last night. It's his 7th of the year, 3rd in the last 4 games. 35 points, 18 rebounds, 10 assists. I don't know. That seems pretty good. Milwaukee beat Cleveland, snapped their 8-game winning streak, 126-116. The Heat have lost 4 in a row. Memphis beat them in Miami, 105-96. That's a bad loss.
Yeah, it is.
Man. Not that the Heat care about seeding. I mean, last year they were seeded 34th and went to the finals. So, they don't care. T-Wolves over Washington, 118-107. Minnesota still with the best record in the West. And Trent's not allowed to talk about it, so we will. The Detroit Pistons won their 5th game last night. They had to rally. They were trailing in the 4th quarter at home to undermanned 10-win Charlotte, but they rallied and they won 113-106. So that was a win and
a cover.
So Trent finally, we believe, won money on the Pistons. Yes or no, Trent? You're not allowed to say the team that you bet on. We will say the team. Did you win money on a certain basketball team last night at home?
Sure did.
There we go. First time.
You know, we kind of blew it when we were picking our games at the end of the show. Milwaukee had a new coach last night.
Well, but he didn't coach last night.
No, but they had the interim coach. They fired the guy. Right. And the other one was Golden State. They had the big ceremony before the game to honor their assistant coach who had died with a heart attack.
Right.
And first game back, you knew that they were going to play really hard in that game, as emotional as it's been the last week for Golden State, and they won by 22.
College hoops, meanwhile, remember we commented Auburn may be ranked 8th in the country, but why is Alabama a 3.5-point favorite at home? Because they won by 4. That's why. FAU covered the 12.5. They beat Rice by 13. Trent, how did Illinois do at Northwestern last night?
They lost in overtime.
Thank you, Trent.
That was a good call by you. That was a very good call by you.
So it might be the only one you got right last night, Moulton.
Not true. Not true. I went 2-2.
Okay.
On my 4 plays. Okay. But I did call Northwestern not just to cover, but to win outright. And they did in overtime 96-91. For what it's worth, Miami won at Notre Dame by 12. And Florida, a much needed home win against Mississippi State, 79-70. DePaul covered against Marquette. So of my 4 big underdog plays, Rice 12.5. I lost by 0.5 point. New Mexico throttled. I got that one wrong.
Right.
I should have picked the other one in that league. Colorado State lost on the road. I thought it'd be New Mexico. And and then I got the Northwestern. So I went 2-2 on my big underdog plays.
Nice. South Florida winner last night over Temple as well on the road.
Yes, the Bulls are 12-5. They're tied for first in the loss column in the American. They're a half a game behind FAU. How about that? And at 8 minutes before the hour, that was
the Starting 5 every weekday morning at this time on Miller and Moulton.
You know, we can't put it up as a poll question because our audience wouldn't know, but which one's older? The Richmond, Kentucky, hello. Or the how about that, Mel Allen?
Oh, wow. Well, considering Mel Allen's heyday was the 50s and 60s, but most people only know Mel Allen from this week in baseball, which was the 80s and 90s. So it would still be Mel Allen, I think. Because most people didn't become, familiar with Larry King till he took his act to CNN, and that was really the 90s where it became popular. O.J. Simpson, hello. Think Trent's gonna, watch any of this on video later today? No,
not a chance.
Rapid City, South Dakota. Hello.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
The law firm of Michael F. Hornung specializes in criminal defense, DUI, personal injury, nursing home claims, and auto accidents. I'm a former prosecutor with over 34 years of experience. The information I know is information you need to know. If you've been arrested for a DUI, time is of the essence to maintain your driving privileges. Call the law firm of Michael F. Hornung for a free consultation. At the law firm of Michael F. Hornung, we are committed to excellence in your representation. Being a local attorney with local knowledge is clutch to the success of your case. For over 30 years, we have successfully represented the citizens of Southwest Florida. For a free consultation, call 239-437-0095. That's 239-437-0095. Our offices are conveniently located in Fort Myers. Visit online at mfh-law.com.
Visit Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
When choosing something of high value and personal significance, such as a diamond, you want to shop with the best, and the mall is not the place to be. Here are my friends, Jason and Todd with the Diamond District.
Take a stroll in the mall, pop into a few joy stores, and you'll soon discover you're in the wrong place. Rings begin to look all alike. You're not finding GIA certified diamonds. You quickly realize you know more than a salesperson helping you, and all the same financing gets pushed on you.
Visit Jason and me, and you'll find America's top bridal designers dealing exclusively with the Diamond District. You'll find the largest selection of GIA certified diamonds, all priced 8 to 10% over cost. You'll find educated sales consultants who have many years' experience and are not paid commissions.
And you'll find Todd and me in the store nearly every day, wanting to shake your hand and welcome you to our Diamond District family.
Visit Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
Mark Miller for Molly Maid. Why Molly Maid, you ask? Trust. Moulton was a customer for 15 years. Affordability. Didn't I just say Moulton was a customer for 15 years? Worry-free services. Our professional house cleaners are fully insured and a 24-hour warranty. Call Molly Maids today at 239-774-5839. That's 239-774-5839 or online at mollymaid.com/FTMYERS. That's mollymaid.com/FTMYERS.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
So have you seen all the stuff on the referee for the NFC Championship game, and he's hosed the Lions twice? So they're already freaking out about it. Do you go to Pride of the Lions, that USA Today site? It was there was an article on that yesterday that I saw. Terrell Hatton joining Live Golf.
Really?
Yep. Mahomes 9-0-1 against the spread as a road underdog in his career. 8-3 outright as an underdog.
What's the against the spread as an underdog? The first one?
9-1-1 on the road. He's 9-0-1. The only against the spread loss came last season at home against the Bills.
He
Yeah,
is
they were
so
like a 1 or 2 point dog.
He's only been blown out, I think, 4 times in his career. If you count 14 plus as a blowout.
Warren Sharp's got this little nugget. Sean Smith is officiating the AFC Championship game. When he refs, home teams only win 40.8% of their games.
Wow.
The lowest rate in the NFL under a specific referee.
Road cooking. Here we go.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Hour 2 of Miller and Moulton on this Thursday. Hope your week has gone well. We got over the hump together yesterday. Now let's get to the finish line, shall we? Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Jim Harbaugh leaving Michigan for the LA Chargers, the big story, but Dolphins losing Vic Fangio as defensive coordinator. Bucs in danger of losing Dave Canales, their offensive coordinator, to become head coach at Carolina. He's a finalist for that job. And there's a connection between him and Dan Morgan, who is now running the Carolina Panthers. And we all know connections are a pretty big deal in life. But Mark, it's time for us to start talking a little bit about the AFC and NFC championship games. And you uncovered a couple nuggets, which, once again, some nuggets are smaller than others, but sometimes you get a really juicy nugget. One in which like 2 of them kind of, become one. And it almost looks like you're getting Italy, as your nugget. It's like, oh, wow, there's just like 2 nuggets here.
So you actually can look at a nugget like people look at clouds and describe the shape of said chicken nugget.
Yes. Okay. Because oftentimes the nuggets, for whatever reason, they don't join forces side by side. It becomes more of an L shape. And so
you're right. Louisiana, Italy.
Right. Exactly. I look at the nugget and I go, I'll be damned. It's Italy. I've never been to Italy. How about if I eat this nugget? Closest I'm ever going to get to Italy. Got any dipping sauce?
You know what? How about we do a marinara just because? All right. So Patrick Mahomes is pretty good. This just in. He's only been an underdog 11 times
in his career. Wow. That's 6 years as a full-time starter. So twice a year he's a dog. Okay.
Right. He's 8-3 outright and 9-1-1 against the number.
Now, remember, he and they are pretty good.
Exactly. His only loss against the spread as an underdog came last year against the Bills at home, which means on the road against the spread, Mahomes is 9-0-1 as a dog.
So what are you strongly hinting at?
Take the damn points. Now, to further that claim.
Oh, wait, there's more?
There's more. Now, this is conspiracy theory out there just a little bit, but it's documented. It's facts. Warren Sharp, you and I both like Warren Sharp. Provides a lot of information.
Yeah, he's a very analytical guy.
But this is just facts. This is Sean Smith is going to be the referee of the AFC Championship game. Home teams, when he refs, only win 40.8% of the time. During that same period, home teams across the league have won 55.4% of the time. The lowest rate for home teams in the league is when Sean Smith's crew is officiating a game.
So Mahomes is money as an underdog,
And this guy favors road teams.
and Mahomes is playing for the road team.
That's correct.
Yeah, Lamar and the Ravens are going to stick it to all of this.
Okay.
All of it. Take your ATS and take your straight up and shove it.
David, the NFL's fixed. Come on.
Where do they start? Do they buy off the kickers first? Where does it start? I'm just curious. I will say you could make the case. There's certainly 2 of the 5 best, but some would argue they're the 2 best in the Ravens-Chiefs game. I mean, we'll do over under right now a half number of missed kicks in the Ravens-Chiefs game. Seriously, if 1 kick is missed in the AFC Championship game, and I understand it's going to rain, there's 75% chance of rain during the game. Don't care. If there's a missed kick in the AFC Championship game inside of 55 yards, it's a stunner. Because they might be the 2 best kickers in the league.
Not going to argue with it. It's a nice prop bet, though.
Yeah, I don't even know if it's available, but it's one out there. And you're thinking, come on. I just watched a bunch of games last week. They'll miss a kick. Okay.
Winter weather.
I would take the over. And then I would take the over in the Moulton Sportsbook because maybe in real life it wouldn't be quite as good of value. Then every time they're lining up for the kick, I'll be in my living room doing the
waving the
push,
hands,
right. Doing the push, trying to do everything, trying to do my part.
Did you see the video of the Chiefs fan? Somebody posted it. So the Bills kicker's lining up for the field goal. He literally, this is how superstitious he is as a fan. He goes into the closet. He gets the fan out. He puts the fan down. He turns it on next to the TV, and he puts it on the left side of the TV. Okay. And he's like motioning to blow the kick to the right. And sure enough, Bass misses the kick to the right. And he's like jumping up and down with the fan. See, it worked. It worked.
Part of me thinks he taped that, rewound the game, and put it out for effect.
Well, it's possible, I guess, but there it was live,
No, I got you.
Yeah, these days you got to be skeptical of that sort of thing.
The
things people do for attention and likes.
We've got way too many videos of people breaking televisions. Hey,
yes.
I'm going to turn my phone on now because that guy's going to go smash the TV.
This old TV that we no longer use.
I do love, though, that Jason Kelce did tell his wife he was going shirtless at the game.
And she wasn't happy about it.
No, don't you dare were her final words. And he claimed in his podcast, because I wasn't asking for permission. I was just letting her know that the shirt was coming off.
But it is also, which I think a lot of us can relate to, obviously they're happily married. All right. But I mean, she did say, I wasn't crazy about him taking his shirt off around Taylor Swift. I don't want him around other women with his shirt off. She didn't mention, that it's 20 degrees out in the wind. No, she said, I don't want him with his shirt off around other women. No.
He was having the most fun he's had in a long time.
Yes, he was.
Certainly over the last 2 months, because the Eagles didn't have a lot of it.
He had some pent-up frustration with the way that season ended. There is no doubt.
In fact, he's having so much fun with his shirt off, waving it around, he might decide to come back for a year. Take a month off, take 2 months off. Don't make that decision too quickly, Jason.
Yeah. I don't know. A grown man with tears in his eyes on the sideline hugging his longtime line coach. I don't think that's because he's not going to see him during off-season workouts.
Yeah, to me, he's made his mind up.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, he may change his mind, but that certainly looked like a man who had it in his head that when this season ends, I'm done.
So what you're telling me, though, off of the 2 nuggets I gave you, is that I need to get the pickaxe out and start digging a lot harder, because those nuggets did nothing for you.
No. I'm a trends guy. You know that. I'm a sucker for a trend, but I have dug such a Ravens ditch, Mark. I am in the foxhole with the Ravens. There is no factoid. There is no team still alive that you can get me to leave that Ravens foxhole for. Unless Lamar gets hurt, there is no way I am leaving that foxhole. I am living and dying with the Ravens for the rest of the year. Doesn't mean they can't get beat. Of course they can get beat. But they are the deepest, most complete team left. And I'm in it with them.
And unlike everybody else who's dealing with injury after injury, they're actually getting a key piece of their team back.
Right. Right. They're getting players back. Everybody else is losing players.
And to your point, it doesn't hurt that they have the best kicker who's ever played the game on their team.
Right.
And a Harbaugh coaching.
I mean, basically, they get inside the 40, it's points.
I was thinking about this the other day. So, of the 4 teams left, the Niners' biggest weakness is probably quarterback. Lions is their secondary. Chiefs is their wide receiver core. What's the Ravens' biggest weakness? What is it?
It's a great question.
You can't even say Lamar's playoff history anymore because he put that to bed last week.
No, you can. I mean, their biggest weakness is they haven't done it. You know, I mean, the
Ravens. 3 of the 4 teams left haven't.
Well, I mean, this is the 4th time in 5 years the Niners are in the NFC Championship game. I mean, you do have to give the Chiefs and Niners, if you believe in experience in a big spot, you have to give the Chiefs and the Niners the edge in that category. That if it's close, late third into the 4th quarter, I mean, it's 6th straight year the Chiefs are in the AFC Championship game. And the last 2 years, those games were agonizingly close.
And those are intangibles, though. I mean, you know, when you're sitting there talking about their playoff experience, it's an intangible. It's something you can't put your finger on if it even affects this year's team. Whereas line of scrimmage, Baltimore doesn't have a weakness on either side of the line of scrimmage. Maybe Baltimore's secondary. Maybe.
They're number 1 in least amount of big plays allowed.
That's
because they led the NFL with 60 sacks. I mean, it's a lot like the Eagles from a year ago. You know, why did the Super Bowl turn out the way it did? The Chiefs blocked them. Eagles didn't get a sack. A team with 70-plus sacks on the year, and the Eagles blocked them. Now, the Eagles blamed the turf. Turf was slippery. They couldn't get any traction. That was their excuse. But the reason the Chiefs put 38 points up on the Eagles was Mahomes had time. Nobody had time against the Eagles all year. And that, to me, is the key for the Chiefs. I mean, Mahomes has to have time. Well, no one's had time against the Ravens. What can the Chiefs do to the Ravens what they did to the Bills? I mean, nobody was near Mahomes Sunday. He could order Starbucks. He had so much time Sunday.
You can't find a weakness for the Ravens. I mean, it's all semantics if there is one. And they're at home. That's the other thing. All the other AFC Championship games the Chiefs have played in have been at Arrowhead.
I will say, though, I think the Chiefs are going to attack that offensive line, Mark. I don't think they're willing to concede I do think with Chris Jones in the middle of the Ravens offensive line, I do think they're going to attack it. I think they're going to try to create a pressure point in the middle on Lamar.
And with the way the Ravens are running the ball, I don't know how they can get outside, if that'll be enough to slow them down. Miller and Moulton. Thanks for listening right here on the Florida Sports Network.
Visit Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
When choosing something of high value and personal significance, such as a diamond, you want to shop with the best. And the mall is not the place to be. Here are my friends, Jason and Todd with the Diamond District.
Take a stroll in the mall, pop into a few joy stores, and you'll soon discover you're in the wrong place. Rings begin to look all alike. You're not finding GIA certified diamonds. You quickly realize you know more than a salesperson helping you, and all the same financing gets pushed on you.
Visit Jason and me, and you'll find America's top bridal designers dealing exclusively with the Diamond District. You'll find the largest selection of GIA certified diamonds, all priced 8 to 10% over cost. You'll find educated sales consultants who have many years' experience and are not paid commissions.
And you'll find Todd and me in the store nearly every day, wanting to shake your hand and welcome you to our Diamond District family.
Visit Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
Mark Miller for Molly Maid. Why Molly Maid, you ask? Trust. Moulton was a customer for 15 years. affordability. Didn't I just say Moulton was a customer for 15 years? Worry-free services. Our professional house cleaners are fully insured and a 24-hour warranty. Call Molly Maids today at 239-774-5839. That's 239-774-5839 or online at mollymaid.com/FTMYERS. That's mollymaid.com/FTMYERS.
The law firm of Michael F. Hornung has successfully represented the citizens of Southwest Florida for over 30 years. As a former prosecutor, the information I know is information you need to know. If you've been arrested for a DUI, a criminal matter, or involved in an auto accident, call the law firm of Michael F. Hornung. I'm a local attorney with local knowledge to assist you through the process. For a free consultation, call 239-437-0095. That's 239-437-0095. Offices in Florida.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
So is this the off the highway hotel where you got enough fast food restaurants in the nearby vicinity to take care of yourself?
Oh my God. I don't even, yeah. Yeah, I can walk to anything.
I'm telling you, it's the key to being on the road in a hotel. I've stayed, when you don't have anything nearby, that's just the worst.
Yep. Pulled off the highway, made a left. Quarter mile down on the left-hand side, pulled into the hotel.
Oh, so you got a rental car?
Mm-hmm. Actually, I drove. Don't want to say that on the air. My wife thinks I travel with the team. But the team sent me their itinerary. It doesn't work for me. Like with this show, like they leave after the game and they get up in the morning and leave while we're on the air.
Right.
Plus it's just, so I need a car and they're not going to pay for one. So like I used some credits. What trip was I on that I used some credits? Oh, when I went to Purdue, because I've got, so many free whatever. So I took care of the rental car at Purdue. This way I could fly my schedule, not theirs. And then this way I could stay at the hotel longer because they got on a 6 a.m. flight. I'd do the show. So they rent me a room by myself. They're good about that, but they don't want to spend too much money. But at least, but they'll reimburse me. I'm in Richmond, Kentucky, Mello, at Eastern Kentucky University. And they are fired up here because they're off to a 5-0 start in conference. This is their best start in whatever conference they've been in. This is their best start in conference play in 45 years since the Carter administration. Hello. Paducah, Kentucky. Hello.
Are you doing this one? Do you do all these by yourself?
On the road, yes.
No color guy?
For home games, it's Artis Gilmore.
Right. Okay. So then on the road, it's just you.
But on the road, it's just me.
What do you prefer?
I prefer to be alone.
Okay.
On the road, I prefer to be alone.
Yeah, but when you're at home.
Oh, no, it's so much easier with a color guy. I mean, it's just.
But, you guys are both play-by-play guys. Like, there's got to be something.
I will say, this is the best sport. I think it's the easiest sport to do play-by-play.
College basketball or basketball in general?
Basketball. The possessions are quick.
The noise.
I think it's the sport that you need an analyst the least. Now, Mark might argue hockey. Like I always thought, Mark, how difficult when I listened to you and it was
Schenkel.
Jenks,
Kenny Schenkel.
that it would working in the color guy in hockey because it moves so fast. I always would listen and go, man, this seems hard. Like during the play, it's easy stoppage of play. You just stop, let them go. But, to get that 6 to 8 seconds of insight, where the play is not a scoring threat, that I always found that a really difficult job for the analyst. Like when you hired me to do the games with Gunther on the radio during that Kelly Cup run when you were doing TV, I always thought I had the tougher job. God, I got 4 to 6 seconds here. A, don't be stupid. And B, make sure you get it back to Gunther so he can do his job.
Here we go.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
21 minutes past the hour. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Roy Cummings in a little more than 15 minutes' time. Chris Perkins at the top of the hour. Roy to talk about the Bucs. Chris to talk about the Dolphins. And Seth Everett makes his weekly visit a day late. But, he had stuff going on, and we accommodated him because he's a longtime friend of the show. He'll join us in a little more than an hour. I do have a question. And Trent, it involves you, but you're not allowed to comment on it, and you'll quickly understand why. Since he lost the bet about his favorite NBA team,
right,
that we're not allowed to mention, actually we are. He's not. The Detroit Pistons. Can he include the Pistons in the play of the day as the way to get around losing the bet?
Hell no.
I would never even think about asking you guys both.
Okay. All right.
That's just my opinion.
Because when they won last night, I thought, because once again, Miller and Moulton, Trent, what are we about? Snark. Okay. What are we about? Testing boundaries. So the first thing that I thought of, Trent, is if I was in your shoes, well, I would make the Pistons the play of the day. I'm not going to say their name. All right. No, but I'm just going to
make
them
all the places, all that. We're going to the Motor City for today's play of the day.
Mention
you can get through the whole thing. You don't even have to mention the team.
No.
If it was worthy in the future before the All-Star break, maybe. But there was too much good action last night to
there was
that team up there in the Motor City.
So that was the first thing I thought of when they rallied to win in the fourth, and in which I said, we'll see how much of Miller and Moulton has rubbed off on Trent if he includes them in the pod to get around the bet.
However, I also would like to keep my job for at least another paycheck, maybe another 2 paychecks. That wouldn't
not hurt. A fireable offense.
No.
Well, I know you never know.
It's not. No. Trent, listen. You're working for $7 a show. We can't get anybody for less. And B, you get up at a ridiculous hour to do it. And we can't get anybody else to do that either. So really, you have job security. And you have to put up with us. I mean, and you still think this is a good job, which is another reason why we don't drug test on this show, because we're convinced something is going on with you. Anyway.
I love it.
So we'll get to Trent and the non-Detroit Pistons play of the day coming up in a matter of moments. So Jim Harbaugh is the focus of our poll question. He signed a 5-year deal to be the new Grand Poobah of the LA Chargers. Over under 4.5 years. How long does he last?
Right now, the under's getting 71% of the vote. You can go to that Mark Miller, the David Moulton, or FL Sports Network on Twitter/X or floridasportsnetwork.com to vote.
I voted under, and you know me, Mark, I can overanalyze a 3-car funeral. But there were 2 things that I weighed here. One is I don't think there's another job for Jim after the Chargers. I mean, unless it's to go back to Michigan. I mean, he's not going to coach in college
No.
anywhere else but Michigan, right?
Right.
Well, whenever it's done with the Chargers, is he going to coach anywhere else in the NFL?
Possibly.
Okay.
Possibly.
So I'm looking at the Chargers as maybe his last coaching gig. So in theory, then that's not going to be a short-term thing, right? I mean, he's probably thinking in his mind, this is probably my last stop. I do this for however long I do it. I'll be in my mid-60s. That'll be enough. He's got a family, a big family. And that's the reason that I'm curious about all this. I mean, he has a younger family. I mean, he's got kids still in school and not college. Okay. And this is a big move. Like, I keep saying I don't think Deion's long for Colorado, not because of his health. He's got circulatory problems in his legs. Altitude is not the best if you have circulatory problems. This is real. This is not ego wanting a bigger job. This is your health. He nearly had his foot amputated. I wonder how long his doctors are going to say, Deion, the altitude's probably not your best stop. If there's an opportunity elsewhere, you might want to take it.
SMU.
Yeah, or the Dallas Cowboys. Whatever.
Well, if it were the NFL, but I could see him. I could see him. Part of me sees him at SMU with all the money and right there in Dallas. And
see, and I thought Jimbo was going to get one more year at A&M. I thought Deion was going to A&M next year. I did. I thought they'd give Jimbo one more year. How ironic, the AD who musters up the strength and the support to get rid of Jimbo, and then he leaves for Ohio State. But anyway, so I'm going under on Harbaugh. A, because, well, he doesn't play well with others. And B, I honestly think family could play a role here. This is a major move for their family.
So you're going under. You're going under, and you also think this will be his last stop. So you're saying we only get 3 more years of Jim Harbaugh coaching football.
Or 4.
4.
3 or 4. I could see it being 4. I could.
So it's 4 years or bust to win his Super Bowl that he wants in David Moulton's mind.
I picked under. Harbaugh desperately wants it to be over. And I say it for this reason. How long's his brother been in Baltimore?
Since 2008. So this
16,
is 16th year.
16th season.
Right.
And the longevity and the success he's had, I think Jim wants to emulate that for the next 10 years with the LA Chargers.
Okay.
But if he doesn't get a Super Bowl by the end of year 4, the Spanoses will fire him.
Yeah, we all know he's not staying anywhere 10 years or longer, right? At this point in his career.
And it'll end badly in 4, and he'll be gone.
So that's our poll question. That Mark Miller, the David Moulton, FloridaSportsNetwork.com.
Mark, I am proud of you, for lack of a better term, for not getting back together with the Chargers. You are standing your ground on this.
I'm shocked.
And you're happy for him. You said this will be a good remarriage.
He's not happy. He's angry at him.
No, I'm angry. They've improved, and I don't like it.
But you said it will work out for them.
It will.
Yeah.
But he's upset. I'm impressed with Mark, okay? The Michigan State alum who loathes Michigan, but knows that Jim Harbaugh staying at Michigan was better for college football. He's putting that ahead of his former Chargers fandom. Okay. All right. I'm proud of you.
Thank you, David.
He's on the market.
That's true. He is. Uh-oh. Look out.
Time now for our Molly Maid play of the day. Trent, what do you have for us?
We're going north of the border today for some hockey, where the Toronto Maple Leafs are hosting the Winnipeg Jets, 2 playoff teams, and it's a nasty old-school defensive slugger. It's 0-0 after 3 periods, so we go to overtime, and about 4 minutes into the extra frame, Nicholas Robertson steals the puck, setting up this sequence for the win.
Here's Robertson trying to twist away from Pionk. Now he goes to bench and throws. Scores! Austin Matthews, game winner!
Austin Matthews tips it home. That's a 1-0 win for the home crowd. And congrats to you if you had the under 6.5 goals, because that hit with a bullet and a half. And with the win, Toronto moves to third place in the Atlantic Division. And you've got the Panthers at 2 and the Lightning at 4. That's a Florida sandwich for the Toronto Maple Leafs. And there's your play of the day presented by Molly Maid.
239-774-5839. That's the number for Molly Maid. Call today and give your spouse the gift of a clean house. 774-5839. Austin Matthews there with his 39th goal of the season.
I think that's his second play of the day appearance, too.
And none of it matters. Honestly. No. They're a franchise. None of it matters. The only thing that matters is the spring. There's so many teams now in so many sports in which that's the case. Hey, you're having a great regular season. Doesn't mean squat. Talk to me in 3 months.
100%. And the pressure will be amplified even more so this year for the Maple Leafs.
Roy Cummings. We put the Bucs season to bed. And are they going to be in the market for an offensive coordinator?
The law firm of Michael F. Hornung has successfully represented the citizens of Southwest Florida for over 30 years. As a former prosecutor, the information I know is information you need to know. If you've been arrested for a DUI, a criminal matter, or involved in an auto accident, call the law firm of Michael F. Hornung. I'm a local attorney with local knowledge to assist you through the process. For a free consultation, call 239-437-0095. That's 239-437-0095. Offices in Fort Myers.
The waterways of Naples are a beauty to behold, and the Bayfront Inn has multiple ways for guests to enjoy the water and have some fun. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn. Something for everyone. On 5th Avenue in Naples.
Mark Miller for Molly Maid. Why Molly Maid, you ask? Trust. Moulton was a customer for 15 years. Affordability. Didn't I just say Moulton was a customer for 15 years? Worry-free services. Our professional house cleaners are fully insured and a 24-hour warranty. Call Molly Maids today at 239-774-5839. That's 239-774-5839 or online at mollymaid.com/FTMYERS. That's mollymaid.com/FTMYERS.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further, because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
I got to admit, Jon Stewart returning to the Daily Show Mondays. I'll probably catch a couple of them.
Oh, he is?
Yeah, he's announcement yesterday for through the election. I think he's going to do the show on Monday. I'll bet you the cameos will be incredible. He'll call in all his chips. I'll bet he'll get Carell. He'll just. I had to YouTube a clip the other day of Jon Stewart with Ricky Gervais and Gervais talking about shagging a raccoon.
Oh my God.
It was the most uproarious 5 minutes that I've seen, clean yet off the rails, edgy, inappropriate, maybe ever.
Oh shit, I didn't send Roy a link. I sent Seth a link. I didn't send Roy a link.
Well, damn it, Jim.
Tell him it's. You want to text him and tell him it's coming right
I
now?
am.
Come on, let's go. Google Mail. There we go.
Mark with the 2-minute drill there.
Yeah.
Paul, a little behind the scenes for you. Mark is in charge of the host computer. That is why he controls the links. I'd be happy to take it over. We just don't know how to.
Oh, that was fast.
Do that.
Roy was ready. Thanks, Roy. Sorry about that.
Oh, no problem. As you said, I was ready.
Morning.
Morning, guys. How we doing?
Good.
You
How
know,
are
today's
you?
our last day for the season. It's a sad day.
Well, I mean, we could just, call and talk once a week just to
We can bring you
catch
back for Cubs talk once a month.
We
I'm up
could.
for that.
Here's
We could talk
the
baseball.
problem. Here's the problem. They haven't done shit. Okay, we'd have nothing to talk about.
Yeah, I know. I know. A fourth starting pitcher. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. Still a lot of talk that Bellinger's going to end up there. He doesn't have many options.
Problem is, you go this long, you get those late teams that just decide, like the Astros with Hader. They literally did, all of a sudden in a 72-hour period, they decided.
Here we go.
This producer.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
And Roy Cummings, who's covered the Bucs for us for a generation. Roy joins us once again here on Miller and Moulton. You can follow Roy on Twix, Twitter/X at rcummingsfhcn, rcummingsfhcn. Obviously a successful season, win the division, make the playoffs for the fourth year in a row, win a playoff game. Are you worried about the offseason for the Bucs? They've got a lot of free agents. Some of the names are key. Just what's your feeling about where they are as an organization heading into the offseason?
Yeah, I feel pretty good about where they are, and I feel that way because I believe, as you guys well know, a lot in Jason Light and his staff. They are really astute in terms of figuring out ways to move money around and make things work for players. Typically veterans, they'll figure out a way to play the shell game so that the veterans get what they need, what they deserve, and so they can bring on the players that they need to bring on. The big question to me is, how much do you pay Baker Mayfield, and how do you structure that contract? Baker has every right in the world to go out there and demand $30 million plus. not the top rate for a quarterback at this point, obviously, but he's on the cusp of being in that realm. Without him, the Bucs don't get to where they are this year. But I also think Baker feels that he's found a home finally in Tampa, a place where he can fly under the radar a little bit, just play football, be himself, and the team rallies around him. So that value has a price tag on it. And I think the Bucs will meet it. I really do. And the other question is, well, you don't want to overpay for Mike Evans. He's obviously not in his prime anymore, but he may not be that far off. The guy still plays at a very high level, and it's still, how do you defend him? No one's figured that one out yet, really. You can put two guys on him, but that's going to open up some other guys. So he's very valuable to this team. And then there's Antoine Winfield. Most people would say he was the MVP of the team, period. So I like where this team is. I think they've got some work to do in the offseason. Not a lot of work, cap room to work with, still hurting there, but I think they will figure out a way to make it happen. I really do. Because again, part of this is, does everybody want to stay a part of this? I can't believe that Antoine Winfield wants to go anywhere else. I might be wrong. I know that Mike Evans doesn't want to go anywhere else, and I don't think Baker Mayfield wants to go anywhere else.
Well, and I think with Baker, Roy, I think you're underestimating the market. When Daniel Jones got what he got, if they could get Baker million for $30 million a year, I'd sign him 3 years, 4 years right now. I'd sign him 4 years, 120, and do it yesterday. But I think more like 35 a year seems to be about the starting area for a guy like Baker. And to me, it's a question of how much guaranteed money are they going to give him. And that's not something Tampa's done, of a fully guaranteed contract. But I think the way to get Baker on the cheap, to me, Roy, is to offer him 3 years with a lot of guaranteed money, maybe not as much as he could get on the open market. Is that something you think Tampa would consider?
I think at the end of the day, they may have to, because I agree with you. The number he's probably shooting for is 35, but it's been 1 year. Let's not forget that for the last 3 years, Baker Mayfield was just a lost cause. And, there was a lot of concern about, did he even belong in the league anymore? So he had one good season. You don't want to overpay for that. You want to make sure that, he continues to be a better quarterback. And there's every reason to believe he will be. So how much does Baker Mayfield believe in himself? He bet on himself this past season. Does he bet on himself again in a contract? I think the contract obviously has to escalate. I think there's got to be some easy incentives in there that he can make. And again, the real trick is, how much do you give him in the guaranteed money? And is there a way to make sure that guarantee works? There may even be a promise in there that, hey, a year from now we restructure this thing. And who knows? Maybe it's even a 1 year contract. I don't think he would take that, but at the end of the day, maybe that's what works for him. Maybe he bets on himself again, and they work from there just because of the cap situation. That's the other thing. If you're with Tampa Bay right now and you're one of those guys who's looking for a new deal, you got to realize this team's a little bit in the in cap jail. So you got to help them out a little bit there if you want to be a part of it. And again, I think most of these guys want to be a part of it.
Well, and we're talking with Roy Cummings about the Tampa Bay Bucs. The Bucs are regarded as having one of the top 3 cap guys in the league, though. That he can kick the can down the road as well as anybody. But Roy, just getting back to Baker, Daniel Jones signed for 40 a year. Geno got 35, coming off 1 year. The Baker Mayfield Geno Smith comparison. If you're Jason Light and we're representing Baker, and you say to us what you just did about, hey, come on now, he had 2 years in the abyss and now he had 1 year, and I just slide Geno Smith's contract in front of you, 3 years, 105, that's 35 per, first year and a half fully guaranteed. I mean, you'd have a hard time looking me straight in the face and saying you're not worth that, right? I mean, the Baker Mayfield Geno Smith comparison's a good one, isn't it?
Yes, it is. But it's also obvious that those teams may have overpaid for those guys, for Geno Smith and for Daniel Jones.
Right. And we think they have. But
right.
This is business. I mean, this is business, and your option is Kyle Trask.
Okay. Now you've got me in jeopardy, right? No, I agree. And I again, you've got to structure the deal so that it works for you. And that's where, again, I think you hope the player's going to play with you on this. And you know what? This is how, because here's another counter offer. There's a reason that the Patriots were as good as they were for as long as they were. There's a reason they won 6 rings. There's a reason that Tom Brady came here and it worked. The only reason we were able to bring on Rob Gronkowski was because that guy made it work. That's, if he's the GOAT, wouldn't you want to emulate him even in this situation? It's not just on the field. He was the GOAT because he had the willingness, and granted, he had a lot of incentives, outside of the building. I mean, he had a lot of money coming in other areas, but Baker Mayfield's not hurting there either. He's had his share of outside endorsements, and he'll probably get more. So you do have to look at it that way as well and say, hey, it's a team. They call it the ultimate team game, and it's not just a team game between the lines. Sometimes it's a team game outside of the lines and at the bank.
Okay, 10 more seconds and then we'll move on. You're the Bucs. We're representing Baker. 4 for 130, which is 32 and a half. 100 of the 130 fully guaranteed. Would you do it?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, I like that. That to me makes sense. And again, when I say 30, that's your entry offer. It's like, look, we're not going to slap you in the face and embarrass you. This is what you're worth to us. Don't forget, it was a couple of tough years before this. We're not there yet. Let's not forget somebody threw an interception at the end of the day. I hate to bring that up, but I think that would be a tremendous deal.
Okay.
And the biggest problem that may be going forward, Roy, is Dave Canales is talking with Carolina. He's getting a second interview. I mean, this has been the cohesiveness of this offensive side, bringing him on board. A lot of people think he saved Baker. This is going to put the Bucs in a real bind.
They may have to increase his role a little bit, make him an assistant head coach, give him a pay bump. That may have to happen too. So, just to keep him, because I think you want to keep him. He's, I like his system. I like the balance, and I just like the system overall. So I think he's a keeper. I don't think he's ready to be a head coach yet. So, I don't think he'll get the offer, but you never know.
I thought that Bowles and Canales came off really well in the Detroit loss. How calm they both were. Canales just matter-of-factly getting those plays in so quickly to Baker. Baker able to bark out the instructions before the crowd got out of hand. I thought that whatever we thought of the Bucs brain trust in the last 2 weeks, I think they acquitted themselves really well.
Yeah, I think I think you're right. I think they were very well prepared for that game in Detroit. I liked the defensive approach, not blitzing as much. Didn't quite work out, but at the end of the day, I thought they were well prepared for the games, and I think they did a darn good job. So I think as you've heard me talk about it before, guys. The Glazers look at this team and they see, is the pendulum on the upswing at the end, or is it on the downswing? And I think a month ago or 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, it was on the downswing. You lose to Atlanta. You should have won that game. You struggled to beat Carolina to win the division. But then since then, that pendulum's back on the upswing. And I think they like that. I don't think there's any question they want to keep this group for now and reward them, and they should.
And you're convinced Mike Evans is a Buck next year and for the rest of his career, right?
I'll be a little surprised if he's not. And again, because both sides want him. They want him here. He wants to be here. He doesn't want to go anywhere else. I don't think he's necessarily driven by the money, but once you get the agents involved, there's a precedent that has to be set. In fact, I think he's a guy that will absolutely take less if you can give me more later to make this work. And I think that'll happen. So I think he'll stick around just because this is where he wants to be. And again, look at he's got tremendous chemistry with the quarterback. I think that plays a part too.
I think somebody gets sacrificed to keep Baker, to keep Winfield, to keep Levante, to upgrade the offensive line, maybe with a free agent signing. I think Evans is taking his last snap with the Bucs. Because I also think someone, like the Cowboys, somebody views him as Kansas City may go into next year saying we have to upgrade at wide receiver. I think somebody's going to look at Mike Evans and give him 22, 23 a year for 3 years.
You might be right, but there are other ways to do it. Maybe the sacrifice comes on the other side of the ball. Maybe Shaq Barrett's no longer around. Maybe Levante David gets let go. I'd hate to see it, but maybe sometimes you have to make sacrifices elsewhere to make it all work, because, you can make the argument, how great was Shaq Barrett this year? Maybe not as great as he could have been, as he has been. You have a lot of young guys, and other things are going to develop as well, based on what they think they can get in the draft. That could have an impact. So, it's a tough off season for them. And again, they're trying to avoid based on where they were at the beginning of the year. I mean, you have to factor that into the fact, they made the playoffs, won a game, a team that was in, had $80 million against the cap, dead money or whatever it is, 40 million, 80 million, forget the number now. But it was just ridiculous. The dead money was just overwhelming, and they somehow managed to work around it.
Do you know the Bucs have the longest playoff streak in the NFC?
I did not know that. Are you really?
Yeah, because think of the Niners. 4 of the last 5 years have gone to the NFC Championship game, but in 2020, the pandemic year, they didn't make the playoffs. The Eagles have made it 3. I mean, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have the longest active playoff streak in the NFC.
I'll tell you what. This is why it's so important to hold on to Baker Mayfield, Antoine Winfield, Mike Evans, Levante David, et cetera, because everybody sleeps on this team. Peter King picked them to win 4 games.
Right.
My guess is that Peter King took about 3 minutes to evaluate the Bucs this year because they weren't worth his time. And I think most people around the nation look at it that way. This team isn't worth their time. The division wasn't worth anybody's time. But you know what? At the end of the day, somebody has to win it, and you just never know what's going to come of a team that finds itself throughout the course of a season. And we found out that the Bucs, better than the Eagles, probably just about as good as Detroit, better than the Cowboys for all the hyperbole and everything else. They're right there. They are right there. You can't, looking at it right now, you can't help but say, okay, this is the team to beat in the NFC South next year. Put them down for at least 10 wins, if not 11 or 12, and expect them to get to the playoffs and win a game there as well, based on what you see right now.
He's Roy Cummings. Roy, we'll talk again around the draft. Be well. Good luck to your Cubs the rest of this offseason. Sign somebody, will you? By the way, you need somebody.
I'm all in favor.
Follow Roy on Twix at rcummingsfhcn, rcummingsfhcn. Thanks, buddy.
Thanks to you guys for having me. I appreciate it. It's been great.
Roy Cummings, who covers the Bucs and has done so for us for roughly 20 years.
12 wins.
Well,
pump the brakes, but he is a glass half full guy with the team. He's convinced Mike Evans is coming back. He has been that way all year long. That's nothing new out of Roy. Miller and Moulton. Thanks for listening. Chris Perkins next.
Visit Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
When choosing something of high value and personal significance, such as a diamond, you want to shop with the best. And the mall is not the place to be. Here are my friends, Jason and Todd with the Diamond District.
Take a stroll in the mall, pop into a few joy stores, and you'll soon discover you're in the wrong place. Rings begin to look all alike. You're not finding GIA certified diamonds. You quickly realize you know more than a salesperson helping you, and all the same financing gets pushed on you.
Visit Jason and me, and you'll find America's top bridal designers dealing exclusively with the Diamond District. You'll find the largest selection of GIA certified diamonds, all priced 8 to 10% over cost. You'll find educated sales consultants who have many years' experience and are not paid commissions.
And you'll find Todd and me in the store nearly every day, wanting to shake your hand and welcome you to our Diamond District family.
Visit Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
The law firm of Michael F. Hornung specializes in criminal defense, DUI, personal injury, nursing home claims, and auto accidents. I'm a former prosecutor with over 34 years of experience. The information I know is information you need to know. If you've been arrested for a DUI, time is of the essence to maintain your driving privileges. Call the law firm of Michael F. Hornung for a free consultation. At the law firm of Michael F. Hornung, we are committed to excellence in your representation. Being a local attorney with local knowledge is clutch to the success of your case. For over 30 years, we have successfully represented the citizens of Southwest Florida. For a free consultation, call 239-437-0095. That's 239-437-0095. Our offices are conveniently located in Fort Myers. Visit online at mfh-law.com.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further, because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
Mark Miller for Molly Maid. Why Molly Maid, you ask? Trust. Moulton was a customer for 15 years. Affordability. Didn't I just say Moulton was a customer for 15 years? Worry-free services. Our professional house cleaners are fully insured and a 24-hour warranty. Call Molly Maids today at 239-774-5839. That's 239-774-5839 or online at mollymaid.com/FTMYERS. That's mollymaid.com/FTMYERS.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Do you know there are 3 teams in the league that have made the playoffs 4 years in a row?
Chiefs,
in the league.
Bucs, Eagles,
Nope.
No.
Cowboys.
Nope.
No.
Remember, the Bucs are the only NFC team to make the playoffs.
Steelers missed it with the 8-8
Oh, the
in
Bills.
1 year.
It's the Bills.
No.
It's the
Yeah,
Bill- yeah,
it's Kansas City, Buffalo, and Tampa Bay.
That's incredible. When did the Cowboys miss it?
2020. Washington won the division in the pandemic year at 7-9. Philly and Dallas missed. Green Bay missed the playoffs last year. Baltimore didn't make the playoffs in 21.
Goes to show how much time flies because
It also goes to show how hard winning is. Like the Dolphins have had 4 straight winning seasons, not 4 straight playoff appearances. RCB, this rookie class did perform well. They got this one right. I actually think Roy's onto something about Shaq Barrett. That probably a tough call, but one they have to probably make. Yeah, DC, that blitz. That was an amazing call. They say Ragnow limited in practice. They say Ragnow is going to play. The guard is not.
He's
however.
out. Yeah, he's out.
Frank
Gotta
Ragnow is such a beast.
Got to get Perk here.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Third and final hour along the network. Thanks so much for being with us. The Diamond District bonus hour awaits for our loyal audience in the 239. We are Miller and Moulton. This is the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. He is an outstanding columnist for the Sun Sentinel. He covers the Dolphins for a living. He's Chris Perkins. You can follow him on Twix, Twitter/X at Chris Perk, P-E-R-K. Chris, it's David and Mark. It's been a while. How are you?
Guys, I'm trying to recover from that disappointment of a Dolphins season and then the kick in the teeth of the Vic Fangio, departure. But other than that, I'm all right. Yeah. Other than that, I'm just fine.
Well, how much did the Fangio news catch you by surprise? Because it caught me by surprise completely. It was the last thing I was expecting. There are a lot of changes that I think may happen for Miami. This was not one of them. How much did it catch you by surprise?
Well, it did, but it didn't. The big tip-off was during the postseason news conference between General Manager Chris Greer and Mike McDaniel, the one they held, not between, the one that featured them. McDaniel was asked near the end, just kind of offhanded, do you expect Vic Fangio back next season? And he said, well, we'll see. And we were all like, huh. And he was like, we're all getting over the disappointment of the season and we'll assess the coaching staff. But, I thought it was kind of a useless question, but it turned out to be a great question because the tip-off was right there. And I'll say this, throughout the season, it didn't appear that Fangio mixed very well with this team. When we would ask Fangio about guys who they had added, he would say he hadn't watched video on them. Like Eli Apple, and when they gave them Justin Houston and Bruce Irvin there at the end of the season, he hadn't watched video, and you got the impression that Chris Greer and Mike McDaniel had just kind of given these guys to Fangio without a whole lot of input from him. And so when you add all that stuff up, it really wasn't that big of a surprise, but wow, still.
Well, this will be third DC in Mike's 3 years, and who do we think he's got a relationship with that he knows? He stayed with the inherited one, then he went with the free agent signing that everybody would applaud. Now he's got to go basically to whatever his coaching tree or his friends' coaching trees are. Well, who could that be?
Well, we don't know. Brandon Staley seems to be a name that's popping up. He's from the Vic Fangio tree. So I don't know. This is going to be a big test for Mike McDaniel because look, you did have the number 10 defense in the league last season, and this was a defense that struggled under Josh Boyer, the previous defensive coordinator. Then you bring in Fangio, the superstar, the highest paid assistant in the NFL. And he kind of gets your defense together, but, you kind of got the idea that Jalen Ramsey wasn't really in agreement with Fangio about the way that he was being used because Ramsey just always seemed to be very short and very brief when he was asked about his usage. And so I don't know. I don't know if McDaniel, seeks any input from Jalen Ramsey or any of the veteran players. It's really an interesting test here. But look, to me, this is the last year of the Super Bowl window for this team as currently constructed. Because Tua, are you going to bring Tua back? And if so, he's going to start taking 35, 40 million. Probably more than that if it's not a team-friendly deal. What are you going to do with Christian Wilkins? What are you going to do with Jalen Phillips, Jalen Waddle? And so all of these tabs start coming due. So this defensive coordinator, if you're going to capitalize on this defense as is, and maybe you bring Xavier Howard back and pair him with Jalen Ramsey again, maybe you have that Christian Wilkins, Zach Sealer front again, whatever. But this is a very important hire because this team, this defense, might not be together in current form past this year because of injuries and salary concerns.
I know we're talking about Fangio, but I also want to bring up McDaniel and play calling. Do you think going forward that McDaniel should be the play caller?
I do. I think that's, I think that's one of those, that would be a really, really tough blow to Mike McDaniel. That's his thing. Now, I know that was not his thing before. He's a first-time play caller, so he's been calling plays for 2 years, as long as he's been a head coach. Here's what I think, though. That has to be discussed. Do you take play calling away from him? Because, look, you have a lot of duties as a head coach. Play calling is just a small portion of it. But I think that's the thing that he really treasures, he really values about himself is creating that offense. I think offensively, you need to make some changes. Maybe you get a receiving tight end. Maybe you use max protection a lot more. You've got to develop a number 3 receiver behind Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. Maybe it's a running back. Maybe it's a slot receiver. Maybe it's a tight end. You got to get a power back for short yardage and just to extend drives. I think that, to me, the big thing with the Dolphins and with Mike McDaniel specifically, you can't do the same things in year 3 that you did in years 1 and 2. I've spelled out very clearly that this offense and this team does not do well against the playoff team. So you guys, if you read me, you know that a big deal with me this season, the Dolphins were 1 and 6 against playoff teams. Last year, they were 2 and 6 against playoff teams. So in Mike McDaniel's 2 years, you're 3 and 12 against playoff teams. 20 and 16 record overall, including playoffs. You don't have a playoff win. This team has underachieved. And the thing is, the future is now. Like, your first round picks are in Tyreek Hill and Bradley Chubb. So this team needs to win now. I think McDaniel should call plays, but you've got to make some offensive changes somewhere.
Talking with Chris Perkins, who writes about the Dolphins for a living for the Sun Sentinel. Follow him on Twix, Twitter/X at Chris Perk. Chris Perk, P-E-R-K. Chris, we all like Mike. He's a nice guy. We'd all love to have a beer with him. We wish more coaches were like him instead of egomaniacs and control freaks. But he's obviously a little stubborn because 2 years in a row, he's had many of the same faults. Can't get the plays in quickly enough. He doesn't run the ball enough. I mean, it's Chris, I feel as if I'm the parent, he's the child, and he keeps coming in going, yeah, I know I keep being late. Well, stop being late. I mean, Chris, that's why I'm wondering if Chris Grier has to take play calling away from him because, like you said, 2024 is a huge year, and he didn't learn many of the lessons he said he was going to learn after year 1.
I agree. And I wrote a column saying, before the Kansas City game, saying that if he doesn't win this game, he should be on the hot seat. And people were, you're crazy, Perk. What are you talking about? This dude has done great. This team has underachieved. This team has greatly underachieved. And look, you're right. I like Mike McDaniel. He's a nice guy. He's a friendly guy. He's different. I wish more coaches were like him, but he's not getting the desired results. And if I'm Steve Ross, I'm looking at how much – this rebuild started with Tank for Tua. and you were going to build through the draft. Then you shift gears and you get Armstead and you get Tyreek Hill and Jalen Ramsey, and all of a sudden it's win with veterans. Let's win the Super Bowl now, like the Rams did. And now you're just kind of stuck in this neverland. I mean, you're just it's almost a Groundhog Day from the last 20-something years. Only the names change. You've got Tua and McDaniel now, but you still don't have a playoff win. Your last playoff win was in 2023. So, yeah, Mike McDaniel, this needs to be a wake-up call. Somebody in that organization needs to put their foot down. I don't know if Chris Greer is the guy to do it. He seems in such agreement with McDaniel. But, again, you can't keep doing the same things in year 3 that you did in years 1 and 2 because, obviously, it's not working offensively or defensively. So, to me, if McDaniel doesn't get it done this year, if I'm Steve Ross, I've got to think about cleaning house, right? I've got to think Greer has to go, McDaniel has to go, and I'm not signing Tua to an extension, partly because he hasn't earned it, but partly because if Greer and McDaniel go, your new administration probably doesn't want to have a quarterback who's tied to a 4-year contract at $40 million a year. So, to me, this is kind of a prove-it year for everybody, for Greer at GM, for McDaniel at head coach, for Tua at quarterback. And depending on how the year goes, if I'm Steve Ross, I might just take a broom to the whole thing and start over.
You mentioned getting the power back. You mentioned a third receiver. You didn't mention the offensive line. Chris, do you think their O-line is good enough? Armstead's getting, he can't play a whole year. They've invested a lot of money and draft picks into this line. Is it good enough?
It's good enough, but it's not great. It's not outstanding. For the amount of resources you put into that, you haven't gotten an equal return on investment. Now, I'll say this. I do think that left tackle is probably your biggest problem on the offensive line, and here's why. You could just choose to re-sign Connor Williams. You could at center. You could choose to re-sign Robert Hunt at right guard. And you've got Austin Jackson coming back at right tackle. So that's the center and the right side of your line. Left guard, Isaiah Wynn won't be back. He had an injury history, but you've got, Rob Jones and Chasen Hines and Lester Cotton. You might have a starting left guard on your roster. At left tackle, however, Armstead's thinking about retirement. I agree with you. If you go into the season thinking Armstead has 17 starts in his body, you are absolutely crazy. I love Armstead. I respect Armstead, but he's probably got 8 or 10 more starts left in him. You would hope that those are in December, January, and February, but you have no idea. The backup, Kendall Lamb, is a 10th year player. He'll be in his 10th year. He's got back problems. So, I mean, considering the pass rusher that you will be blocking at left tackle, that is a very critical position. You guys know that. So, I mean, are you going to spend a lot in free agency? Are you going to draft a left tackle up high? You still might need cornerback help because who knows if Cam Smith, last year's second-round pick, is coming back, and who knows what you're going to do with Xavier Howard and his $25.9 million salary cap hit. I would bring X back. I would franchise tag Christian Wilkins. I would pretty much bring everybody back except for Armstead. I think when you look at I would just have to have a difficult conversation with Armstead that, look, if you come back, you're going to have to, we can't go with you. You're going to have to be, I don't know how that would go, but I can't count on him as my starter. To me, that's your number one problem on the offensive line.
Chris Perkins, he writes about the Dolphins for the Sun Sentinel. And as you can tell, he has his own way of thinking. Follow him on Twix at Chris Perk, P-E-R-K. Chris, we admire you from afar. Thanks so much for your time, and hopefully we can do this again before free agency starts.
Let's do it. Just reach out. I'm here. Thanks, guys.
Chris Perkins, kind enough to join us here on Miller and Moulton.
Visit Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
20 years ago, Jason and I had the idea for a jewelry store like no other, with a vast selection of certified diamonds priced 8 to 12% over cost. A team of individuals who are educated, driven, and believe in cultivating relationships.
Today, we have become one of the largest independent jewelry stores in the country. Todd and I love what we do and are in the store nearly every day, along with our GIA gemologists, master jewelers, custom designers, and non-commissioned diamond consultants. all of which we consider family.
As direct diamond importers, we travel the world, forging relationships and sourcing diamonds. What we love most about our business is that we can call Southwest Florida our home.
If selection, value, and comfort are important to you, give the Diamond District an opportunity. You won't find a better diamond buying experience. Todd and I look forward to shaking your hand and welcoming you to our Diamond District family.
At the Diamond District.
The law firm of Michael F. Hornung specializes in criminal defense, DUI, personal injury, nursing home claims, and auto accidents. I'm a former prosecutor with over 34 years of experience. The information I know is information you need to know. If you've been arrested for a DUI, time is of the essence to maintain your driving privileges. Call the law firm of Michael F. Hornung for a free consultation. At the law firm of Michael F. Hornung, we are committed to excellence in your representation. Being a local attorney with local knowledge is clutch to the success of your case. For over 30 years, we have successfully represented the citizens of Southwest Florida. For a free consultation, call 239-437-0095. That's 239-437-0095. Our offices are conveniently located in Fort Myers. Visit online at mfh-law.com.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Yeah, Chris Perkins is great, Paul. He's terrific. We have a guy sending us picks from, he's saying take BC Governla under 80.5 in the Ukrainian basketball league to jump on it.
Well, now we got to pay attention to this.
I'll do it. Why not?
Got to write this down.
I just got to see if I can find it on the Hard Rock app.
Ask him how heavy we going here.
Can you repeat it, Mark? What's the
BC Governla, Goverla?
Okay.
I like it.
There it is, the Ukrainian Super League. I can't bet just on the team under. Huh.
Yeah, they just have the over-under for the game, but it is on here. Oh, wait, they do have it, Mark.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah,
Yep.
click on the game and then scroll down to BC Governla total points.
80.5's plus 110.
For the
Oh, no,
over?
under. For the under. Oh, no, 78.5. You got to go. That's fantastic. And yes, the Lions signed Ertz earlier this week, Sonny.
Ravens pulling out all the stops. The Ravens legends of the game are Ray Lewis and Ed Reed. Jonathan Ogden's the honorary captain. Michael Phelps is delivering the game ball.
The GOAT.
I love it.
That's my by the way, that's my pick for the greatest athlete of all time.
Great. Yeah.
Phelps.
It's
unbelievable what he did.
T-Pain's performing at halftime. Lee Majors. Isn't he KU grad?
Maybe. Oh, is Carmelo going to be at the game? Get Melo at the game. He was there last week. We're coming back.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
"21 minutes past the hour. Our buddy Seth Everett will join us in a little more than 15 minutes. Thanks so much for being with us. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. The Diamond District bonus hour is about 40 minutes away. Mark, you and I are into pageantry. It's why we like college football in some instances more than we like the NFL, because the NFL has very little pageantry. Pageantry to the NFL is the Bills Mafia breaking tables in the parking lot.
Yeah, you're right.
All right, that's
the Lambeau Leap. That's pageantry.
Right. All right. The Ravens are trying to create a little pregame pageantry. All right. And once again, it is the first time in 53 years the city of Baltimore has hosted a game this big.
And the Baltimore, I mean, you were there. That crowd, Detroit's getting all the accolades for their fans, and they should, and they deserve it. It's great. It's terrific.
Mm-hmm.
But Baltimore's crowd had more to do with their win than Detroit's crowd had to do with their win.
Right. I mean,
how many pre-snap penalties were there for Houston?
7 pre-snap penalties. How many pre-snap penalties for the Bucs?
0.
Right. Oh, crap.
So the Baltimore crowd was in it from the word go. They were loud. You could hear it. I mean, it was noticeable on television, David.
I will say what impressed me about the Ravens, there were some old-time Colts that were there. And they made sure to put them on the big screen and have big build up from the announcer and, ladies and gentlemen, star of the Lenny Moore. And the crowd went crazy. That's supposedly not this franchise. But no, it's Baltimore. As far as they're concerned, no, that is Baltimore. That other franchise is in Indianapolis. That's like this whole Oilers, Texans, or Titans thing. In Houston, they're like, no. Our franchise is, that's why they shouldn't be allowed to wear those uniforms. We should still be allowed to wear those uniforms. That's why it's such a sore spot. So, Mark, this is the Ravens, legends of the game, Ray Lewis, Ed Reed. Last time the Ravens were in the AFC Championship game, 2012, the final year for Ray Lewis and Ed Reed. Who's the honorary captain? Jonathan Ogden.
The human eclipse.
First draft pick in Baltimore Ravens history.
That's a large human being right there.
Biggest man either one of us have ever seen. There were 2 people on the other side of Jonathan Ogden in the press room of the Super Bowl in Tampa. We were walking from the back of the room to the front. We could not see the 2 individuals on the other side of Jonathan Ogden. He was so broad and so wide that they fit inside his shirt. We laughed.
One of them, he gave Joe Theismann a hug after Joe left our table. Saw Ogden and they embraced, and when he hugged him, Theismann disappeared.
He did.
I'm not messing around. He disappeared. You could see 2 hands.
Yes. Never mind the fact that Joe, after the injury, is about a foot shorter than Jonathan Ogden also.
Right.
By the way, City of Baltimore, we got one thing left. Who's going to bring out the game ball? Michael Phelps.
Oh, boy.
All the stops. All the stops. That's how big this is in Baltimore. 53 years. This 1970 Colts in early January of 71 hosted the AFC Championship game. The Ravens have been in 4 other AFC title games, all of them on the road, in Oakland, in Pittsburgh, and twice in New England. First one at home. This is a BFD. And they were that loud, Mark, in it was a nasty day. It was like 18 degrees with 20+ mile an hour winds. It was not comfortable at that game. This is going to be 45 degrees and rain. This is going to feel like, you're in.
What are you talking about? There's might be nothing worse than 45 degrees and rain. That's not comfortable.
Compared
That's
to
miserable.
Compared to last Saturday, trust me, it'll be comfortable. Please. It's like that will feel like a Florida rain to the folks in Baltimore. It'd be like, heck, we're not even getting wet. Can't even feel this.
Uh-huh. Keep telling yourself that.
Okay.
That's miserable.
So, by the way,
advantage Baltimore, by the way, with that weather.
Really? You think so? Think of the weather the Chiefs have played in the last 2 weeks. Although I will say it's all about, like Aikman talks about, he goes, he was terrible with a wet ball. He said, cold wind, that's fine. Wet? Oh, no. He said, I was not good with a wet ball. We saw in San Francisco.
I was going to say the Lions are probably hoping for rain, even though Jared Goff would be outside. It would be
It's supposed to be gorgeous.
The way Purdy played in the rain.
Right. He struggled with
bad.
the wet ball, right? So anyway, that's their attempt at NFL pageantry.
I can appreciate that. Whatever's going to make you feel good. It's all about the vibes. I have my own superstitions that I do. You got to get the legends involved. It's all good.
No Eminem on the sidelines, no matter what you say.
I agree. T-Pain at halftime, though.
Yeah.
Okay.
I got
Just
you.
saying. By the way, it's so cute. During the break, we talked about some of this, and I'm rattling off the names. And Trent, 24, NBA guy. Okay. We're talking about Baltimore. He goes, is Carmelo going to be there?
He was there last week.
Oh, for goodness
That was a valid question. If they're bringing the whole army, they might as well bring Melo.
Really?
Yes.
Really?
They love him there.
I understand they love him there. Yeah.
It's just because this is an NBA guy. That's the only reason you're chastising.
No, I've never associated Melo with, they showed him, but I don't see him decked out in Raven stuff. He's not.
Yeah.
Also, how many professional championships for Carmelo?
0.
Okay, right. Okay.
Now Phelps going to deliver the game ball with all the gold medals hanging around him.
I was going to say, think about it. I mentioned Michael Phelps is bringing out the game ball, and you go, what about Carmelo? I mean, compared to Michael Phelps, I don't know if Carmelo can carry his golf clubs.
There was a picture of the two of them specifically together last week. That is the only reason I brought it up.
I know.
And you did say, Michael, you said during the break, Michael Phelps, you believe that is, David Sampson said Djokovic, maybe the greatest accomplishments of any individual athlete. You think it's Michael Phelps.
I do.
Hard to argue with that.
We're on Melo watch, David. If I see a picture of Melo on the sideline, I'm sending it your way right away.
We're on Melo watch? We're on Melo watch? Is this like tracking the flights of a coaching candidate? We're on Melo watch?
No, but this gets thrown in the basket with the team raising the in-season tournament banner. Initially, you're like, what are you talking about? That had never happened. And then, lo and behold, the Lakers raised
yeah, and do you know what's happened to them since?
Yes, they stink.
And
I love
I do
Sonny's
appreciate
point.
Sonny's comment in the Twitch chat room. The Ravens play defense. Carmelo does not. Make a dead good point there,
That's
Sonny.
a good one.
It really is.
So anyway, so don't know if you'll see or hear much about it before the AFC Championship game, but it's an NFL team pulling out all the stops, trying to have some pageantry. Do you know what that means once they kick off? Not a damn thing.
No, it does not. We gave you the numbers earlier. Mahomes is an underdog on the road, is 9-0-1 against the spread. Does that continue?
And what's he like 8-3 straight up as a dog?
As a dog.
Yeah. What are they, 2.5 dog in this one to Baltimore?
Yes.
It opened at 2.5. Miller and Moulton. Seth Everett will make his weekly appearance on the other side. Thanks for being with us. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network.
Mark Miller for Molly Maid. Why Molly Maid, you ask? Trust. Moulton was a customer for 15 years. Didn't I just say Moulton was a customer for 15 years? Worry-free services. Our professional house cleaners are fully insured and a 24-hour warranty. Call Molly Maids today at 239-774-5839. That's 239-774-5839 or online at mollymaid.com/FTMYERS. That's mollymaid.com/FTMYERS.
The law firm of Michael F. Hornung has successfully represented the citizens of Southwest Florida for over 30 years. As a former prosecutor, the information I know is information you need to know. If you've been arrested for a DUI, a criminal matter, or involved in an auto accident, call the law firm of Michael F. Hornung. I'm a local attorney with local knowledge to assist you through the process. For a free consultation, call 239-437-0095. That's 239-437-0095. Offices in Fort Myers.
Visit Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
20 years ago, Jason and I had the idea for a jewelry store like no other, with a vast selection of certified diamonds priced 8 to 12% over cost. A team of individuals who are educated, driven, and believe in cultivating relationships.
Today, we have become one of the largest independent jewelry stores in the country. Todd and I love what we do and are in the store nearly every day, along with our GIA gemologists, master jewelers, custom designers, and non-commissioned diamond consultants, all of which we consider family.
As direct diamond importers, we travel the world, forging relationships and sourcing diamonds. What we love most about our business is that we can call Southwest Florida our home.
If selection, value, and comfort are important to you, give the Diamond District an opportunity. You won't find a better diamond buying experience. Todd and I look forward to shaking your hand and welcoming you to our Diamond District family.
At the Diamond District.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
What's up?
Hi, Seth.
What's going on?
Hey, man.
How are you?
Everything okay?
Yeah. No, yeah. The torture of being in a hospital reception room while my mother was having tests, and the Today Show. I don't know if we've ever talked about this before. The first 14 minutes of the Today Show gives me everything I need. After that, it is pure drivel.
Yes.
And I couldn't leave because you didn't know if she was going to need me. And when it was like fingernails on a chalkboard, and the receptionist is watching it going, "Oh yeah, my morning sickness was just as good." And I'm like, "Oh my God, get me out of here." Noise canceling headphones didn't do the trick. I still heard it.
There's nothing worse. I go, and I don't work out nearly as much as I should, but we have a workout room at my clubhouse where I live.
Right.
And I always try to put ESPN on one of the TVs, and I turn the volume down all the way down to the bottom.
Right.
And then I put my music on. Yeah. And then someone comes in and will put on one of the news stations. And to me, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what side of the aisle.
Then it becomes right.
And then they crank the news so I can hear it over and I've got the music as loud as I can get it in my headphones. And then between songs, and I'm hearing that, and I'm like, don't you guys understand there's other people in the room who might think differently than you?
Oh, God.
They don't. Drives me nuts.
This wasn't politics. This was
oh no, it's just
how to handle morning sickness. What to bake. Baking. It was like
pure
drivel.
But the Today Show is not for you.
No, I understand that.
Right. It's
And
for
it never
women.
goes on. Like when we're getting ready to take the kids, I see the first 13 minutes. That's plenty.
That's
And if
all
I
you
miss
need.
it, I don't care.
Right.
But wow, from 8:30 to 10, I was in there, and then we were there till about 11:30. But it was a unique form of punishment.
Spread's 3.5 now on that game, by the way.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Monday's coming in on the Ravens.
I don't know how people bet against Mahomes.
Well, Mark just has been giving the numbers out all day. Bet against Mahomes at your risk.
I know.
9-1-1 when he's an underdog against the number.
I know. I just I don't know how you. I can't do it. It's too close to me. This is not a
2-1.
I couldn't touch this game.
Can't touch this.
I couldn't do it. Have you guys seen the hockey scandal stuff?
Oh yeah.
You talked about it?
Briefly.
We did during the starting five.
We don't have to. I've covered so many domestic abuse cases in my career. So many. It has never been on the team that I'm invested in. Never. Never. I've
This
never
caused me to throw all my stuff away or put all my stuff in a garbage bag because I'm a Michigan State grad. Literally and I did not root for them until every member of the board of trustees.
Totally get it. Penn State, Ohio State, whatever you are, like whatever scandal you've covered or seen, or I've never been emotionally invested. This
really
took
quickly,
our best face-off guy. This is how I lost him. God dang it!
All right, just a question for everybody: who is the Washington Wizards head coach?
Wes Unseld.
No, he
Was.
resigned. He resigned this morning.
Yeah.
I don't know, but my cousin played the national anthem at a Wizards game.
Gotcha.
Wow.
He played the Baroque trumpet, and you know, if it ain't Baroque, don't fix it.
Fix it.
Oh boy.
But
He's on weekly, folks.
I heard you guys talking about the plane flights, track the plane flights. I was like, oh, is he on a flight to Toronto? Buzzing.
Here we go.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
22 minutes until we're out of here. The Diamond District bonus hour awaits at the top of the hour for those in the 239. Thanks so much for listening on this Thursday. Pat Kerwin will join us on the show tomorrow on a Football Friday. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Seth Everett joins us for his weekly visit. It's a day late. He had stuff going on yesterday. He's a busy guy. He's got a family. He's got to take care of people. All right. Seth joins us once again. Follow him on Twix, Twitter/X at Seth_Everett, Seth_Everett. Sports with Friends, Hall of Justice. Good morning, my friend. How are you?
Good morning. Good morning. Hall of Justice is in emergency surgery. I did the wrong commercial. So late last night, a marathon day, and I saw the list and I said, oops. And I was like, this isn't getting fixed tonight. So as soon as I'm done today, I've got to get into major surgery. Got the surgical gloves.
Hope it will survive.
Hope so.
I mean, it just...
Well, you need an assistant, or is this one you're handling by yourself?
No, this is the one I'm handling myself. The audio things, the video ones, we have assistants now. I have people who are making these cool videos.
Wait a minute. You have people?
I have people.
You have a staff?
Yeah, it's child labor laws, but yeah, it's it's people. There's a bunch of video editors that want to beef up their demo reels, so they're editing promos.
I thought you were talking about your two daughters when you said
Nope.
child labor
They
laws.
wouldn't touch it. As a matter of fact, one of the kids who wants to do it is my daughter's age. And my daughter looked at me and said, "You're not using him."
Okay.
Yeah, a little history, I guess.
Okay.
Love that you have people.
Listen, we're going to get serious here for a second.
Sure.
So we talked about this story briefly a couple hours ago. 5 players from Canada's 2018 World Junior Hockey team have been asked to surrender to London, Ontario police. They're facing sexual assault charges. So 4 of the 5 are currently in the NHL. 1's playing in Europe. 2 of the 4 play on your favorite team.
Yep.
Where are you on players who are charged with a crime but have not gone through the legal system yet? Because I am one of those that believes that you play until there's a verdict or there's a plea.
So you're saying after they surrender,
yes,
they're released on their on bail or whatever it is, and they're pending trial.
Exactly.
And they play for the team.
Yes, if you were
I
running
agree.
the New Jersey Devils, would you bring the 2 players back, or are these players not going to play for you for the rest of the year? And hell, I don't know if this is going to get adjudicated next year.
Right. The only thing I can use is there needs to be specific rules set forth in the collective bargaining agreement before something like this happens.
That'll never happen.
In the
but
Roberto
Seth, I'm just
Osuna
telling you.
situation, the only experience I have is Roberto Osuna, when the Toronto Blue Jays, before he was convicted of anything, said he will never wear a Blue Jays uniform ever again.
Right. Yes, many
And
teams
then-
have done that. The Astros
Right, he
did it with Julio Lugo. The Mets did it with Vince Coleman. When the owner comes in and says, I don't care what the contract says, I don't care about the CBA, I don't care if I have to pay him, he's never wearing the jersey again.
Correct. I don't know. I don't know what the rules are. I don't know enough about the NHL CBA. I don't know what the precedence is. All I know is in 27 years, I have covered dozen of these domestic violence accusations and
Well, this is
cases
sexual
and things like
assault,
this.
for the record. This
Sexual
is not
assault.
domestic violence.
And
This is sexual assault.
Correct. And this story has been completely blanket coverage by The Athletic. And I followed this. I've listened to 3 separate podcasts just about this. The evidence they have is damning. The only difference was in all of those stories, they never revealed the names of the 5 players.
Right.
Until yesterday. And I was shocked. I was absolutely shocked. And now you're starting to see evidence. For example, in the case of Mike McLeod, he's leading the NHL in faceoffs. He had a brilliant year last year and didn't get a contract. He got essentially the minimum to come back this season. And a lot of the speculation was, well, what a team guy. He's given them a hometown discount so they could sign other players in a hard salary cap situation. I think the team knew. I think the team's planned on not having him because that's why they didn't pay him. The curious one is Cal Foote, who's the other Devils player. That's the son of Adam Foote, who I covered for 6 years. I knew Adam Foote relatively well. And it's funny because that was one of the guys I talked to Keith Jones recently about getting Adam Foote on Sports with Friends. I am not doing that now.
Yeah,
I can't do it and not ask about it, and he can't talk about
it. You're running the Devils. Would you, once they plea, they're going to go sometime in the next week. Right. They're going to go and they're going to get, the mug shots, the whole deal, and then they're going to be released. Do they play for your organization while free, while facing charges, but not yet in court? And I would take the heat.
Is there a rule?
No, there's not a rule.
Is there any precedent?
No.
It's team by team.
Team by team. Well, and I'm one of those.
I, for the record, couldn't play him.
And I would.
I'm leaning toward Mark. I'm leaning toward no, but there has to be some kind of legal precedent. That's what I'm searching for.
Like And I know I'm going to catch a lot of heat, and this seems contradictory because there's been nobody. I mean, I go back 30 years on the air speaking out against violence against women and children when it was not the thing to do. Okay. But I am also a believer in the American justice system, and you're innocent until proven guilty. Like, I believe Trevor Bauer, like, he was never even charged with a crime.
Yep.
Okay. How in the world can I not sign him? I'm serious that I'm like, listen, I don't know if he did it, and I don't know what to tell you. Wasn't even charged with a crime.
Technically, Trevor Bauer is eligible.
He is not been choosing to sign him.
Correct. If the team wants to sign him, they can do it.
They can, but no one's willing to do it. And in essence, it's the same thing here. This happens a lot in college, Seth. A player gets in trouble, he's charged, and the question of the coach is he still going to play? So you and Mark are inclined, if you're running the Devils, the Flyers, and the Flames, they're the three teams who have 4 players who are caught up in this. Okay, you're inclined, these players don't play for you until this gets adjudicated.
Wow,
correct.
This is not what I thought you'd ask me. And I'm leaning toward no, and my instinct, based on all the evidence that I heard like I said, I listened to 3 separate podcasts just about this, and I read countless articles. The Athletic has covered this like a blanket. The evidence is so damning, they will never play hockey again.
Well, see, and Mark and I don't even know the evidence. This is just a blanket. We just know the highlights. We just know.
I can't say it on the radio.
Well,
right.
Then don't. I don't think people
I
know.
won't. I'm saying it's awful.
Okay.
And in that sport, there has been so many problems with so many different types of sexual assault.
Right.
Totally.
That the sport has a black eye because of it.
Yeah.
And that's part of my reason why I wouldn't be able to play them.
I tend to agree. I like I said, I've covered this so many times over my career. I remember being on the air in Philadelphia when they took the Paterno statue down. I remember doing that and having to take calls after calls after calls after call, and I had no emotional involvement in it. I thought it was egregious. I thought it was disgusting, but it wasn't my team. And this,
right?
My initial reaction was, "That's our best face-off guy." I was like, "We can't catch a break."
Once again, Seth, go get a goalie. Go get a goalie. He's Seth Everett, Sports with Friends Hall of Justice. Follow him on Twitter/X at Seth_Everett. But I do believe, and I don't know, Mark, how you feel, that I believe as an organization, just like Bobby Bowden's philosophy, and on this show a lot, we do the world according to Bowden. Okay, we loved him. A lot of what he stood for, we agree with. Bobby's feeling was that until there was a plea or it was adjudicated, that the player played.
My the one analogy in terms of sports, this is not apples to apples, but the one analogy that I remember, I had a big thing back 10 years ago now when Aaron Hernandez was charged with murder.
Right.
I said the Patriots should get the salary cap money back because, and people were like, well, you knew he was a problem guy and you run the risk. And I said, never once in the scouting report could kill a guy. In the thing, the New England Patriots should have gotten whatever they paid Aaron Hernandez should have been given back in cap space. That's just that. And so in that case, that I would apply to all 4 of those players. Whatever the Flyers were paying Carter Hart, take that money and go get somebody else.
Ooh, that's interesting. I mean, that's treating this like long-term injury. Like all of a sudden your star player gets hurt, you get to put him on that long-term injury, and his salary doesn't count against the cap.
That's right. Because I heard yesterday that Dougie Hamilton, one of our defensemen, he's out for the year. There's insurance on that, and they might have that in cap space. You throw that plus these other 2 dudes, you've got a lot of money now, and there's going to be some team that wants to do a salary dump. Let's do that. Is Connor Hellebuck available?
No. No, he's not. You'll be looking at backup goaltenders along the league to try to fill that void, Seth.
I understand. I do understand.
I love because we're hitting Seth where he lives right now. Okay, no. That Seth's always very opinionated. All right, and has his feelings about certain subject matter. But this is now his team, and I love the fact that he's touched on how much the story really bothers him. But at the same time, he's gone, damn it, this is our best face-off guy, and are we going to get salary cap relief? I mean, every facet, Mark, of Seth Everett is literally coming out here. We are hitting all the buttons.
I remember listening. I remember Richard Deitch had Katie Strang on his podcast, and it was all about this story. And I was like, oh my God, again? Do I want to hear this again? And I was like, yes, I'm transfixed with this story. It wouldn't have dreamed, never once. Have you ever seen that roster? The 2018 Canadian junior hockey roster.
Team, yeah.
Cale Makar is on that list. But again, he has not been connected to this.
No, I mean, these World Junior teams are the best of the best. These guys typically are all going to play in the league. That's what happens.
Yeah. That's nuts. That's wild.
And it's hard to explain to people in this country how big that tournament is in Canada.
Oh, yeah.
Just how close this story is with the Canadian people.
Totally.
Because the World Juniors are a big deal.
And then as you referenced, Mark, this is a sport that has had 2 or 3 major sexual assault against men and women scandals in recent years. And so now this on top of it, I mean, Canadian junior and youth hockey has been just destroyed in the last 5 years with scandal after scandal involving just horrific stories. All right, in about 90 seconds, Sports with Friends Hall of Justice, go.
Sports with Friends is a roller coaster of emotions. It's the story of the last 2 weeks in Seattle. Washington Huskies were playing for the national championship. They lost that game. Within 2 days, they lost their coach. They've lost half their roster to the transfer portal. They have a new coach. And then the Seattle Seahawks fired the winningest coach in franchise history all in about 8 days. And so one of my best friends, Dave Softy Mahler from KJR, just lamented what the roller coaster of emotions. And we actually opened the podcast with the thrill of victory and the agony of defeat. That's exactly what the last 2 weeks in Seattle.
Jim McKay? You opened it with Jim McKay?
Yeah, we have tape. Yeah, it was not AI. It was tape.
Gotcha.
it was tape. Hall of Justice is about Reacher and how stinking great that show is. It's on Amazon Prime, but it needs a new commercial, so it's going to come out around midday.
By the way, what do you think WWE Raw on Netflix? 30 seconds.
Yeah, good for them. That's good. It doesn't mean that they're going to start playing for the NBA or anything like that. This is
really
that is scripted entertainment. It's live, but it's scripted entertainment. They control it. It's also 52 weeks a year versus a season. This fits the Netflix model. The NBA doesn't.
Okay.
Interesting.
Well done.
Could have done the whole segment on that.
I thought we were.
Me. Right.
So did I.
I like this one more. It hit you harder.
I was going to say, you're a wreck. You're not going to be able to do surgery on Sports with Friends there. That's how messed up you are. We have to call in the backup surgeon. Miller and Moulton, thanks for listening.
Southwest Florida, are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further, because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
Mark Miller for Molly Maid. Why Molly Maid, you ask? Trust. Moulton was a customer for 15 years. Affordability. Didn't I just say Moulton was a customer for 15 years? Worry-free services. Our professional house cleaners are fully insured and a 24-hour warranty. Call Molly Maids today at 239-774-5839. That's 239-774-5839 or online at mollymaid.com/FTMYERS. That's mollymaid.com/FTMYERS.
Visit Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
When choosing something of high value and personal significance, such as a diamond, you want to shop with the best, and the mall is not the place to be. Here are my friends, Jason and Todd with the Diamond District. Take a stroll in the mall, pop into a few joy stores, and you'll soon discover you're in the wrong place. Rings begin to look all alike. You're not finding GIA certified diamonds. You quickly realize you know more than a salesperson helping you, and all the same financing gets pushed on you.
Visit Jason and me, and you'll find America's top bridal designers dealing exclusively with the Diamond District. You'll find the largest selection of GIA certified diamonds, all priced 8 to 10% over cost. You'll find educated sales consultants who have many years' experience and are not paid commissions.
And you'll find Todd and me in the store nearly every day, wanting to shake your hand and welcome you to our Diamond District family.
Visit Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6 and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
The law firm of Michael F. Hornung has successfully represented the citizens of Southwest Florida for over 30 years. As a former prosecutor, the information I know is information you need to know. If you've been arrested for a DUI, a criminal matter, or involved in an auto accident, call the law firm of Michael F. Hornung. I'm a local attorney with local knowledge to assist you through the process. For a free consultation, call 239-437-0095. That's 239-437-0095. Offices in Fort Worth.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
The Wizards haven't named anybody yet, have they?
Mm-mm. Wow. Huey Lewis sang the part. Did you see the story about We Are the World? They wanted Prince. Prince would only do it if he could record a guitar solo and wanted to do it by himself with no one in the room. So they said no. And Huey Lewis sang the part that was supposed to be Prince's.
Oh, wow.
Madonna was never invited.
Yeah, there's really no like rock stars in that recording, is there? There's really no. I mean, Bob Dylan's probably the closest thing to like rock and roll. It's a lot of pop and
Yeah, it's mostly pop.
which,
There's
that's what was big, and there's a lot of Motown in there too.
The Greatest Night in Pop, which premiered at the Sundance Film Festival and be on Netflix on Monday. I will definitely watch that.
Here we go.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
It is the Diamond District bonus hour. Thanks so much for being with us. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. You missed, Roy Cummings, Chris Perkins, Seth Everett. They joined us on the network, the 6 to 9 portion of the show. You can go to floridasportsnetwork.com and download what you missed every day. Well, at least Monday through Friday anyway. Or you could do it on the weekends, if you're just catching up and what have you. So how are you about getting fans ejected? We didn't talk about this at all. Luka had a fan ejected last night.
I know. I'm not big on it. I think fans, the problem is that at pro sporting events now, fans think that they can cross a lot of lines in what they say.
Right.
But if you're just heckling and you're not swearing, I don't know how you get thrown out.
Yeah, see, I'm with you. And which then, if you don't know, Luka and the Mavs lost last night. And Phoenix, or was it last night or the night before? And so anyway, Luka didn't play well, and he got a fan ejected late in the game. And Dave McMahon of ESPN, the press row was row 2, and the fan was sitting 2 rows behind the press. And so McMahon took to X and was tweeting out what the exchange was. And Luka got upset about that, in which he accused the reporter of always tweeting out bad things about him. But what McMahon was tweeting out was not curse words. It was just old-fashioned heckling. You look tired. Work out. Get
on the treadmill. Luka, you look tired. Get on the treadmill.
Right. It was old-fashioned heckling. Like, Mark, the last time you did that, you went to, wasn't it like a Rays Tigers game, and one of the Rays had been arrested.
He had been arrested for, it wasn't domestic violence, but he threatened domestic violence.
Gotcha.
He had made that phone call to his girlfriend. Is it Young?
Delman Young.
Delman Young.
I think it was.
I believe, and I you don't want to get that wrong. That's why I know it was Young. And we were sitting 35 rows behind home plate. I was there with my son, and when he got up to the plate, I said, "Don't worry, he'll only threaten to get a hit." And it was loud enough that it was heard. And I have a loud voice.
Because there's also 60. There were 6,278 people on that Wednesday night too at that Rays game. I mean,
right.
You can hear every Mark Miller who's wanting to heckle.
And I had a few people turn around, give me dirty looks, and I, of course, immediately turned around with them. Like, who was it that said that?
How dare they? So Luka had the fan ejected. Man, you better be cursing to get ejected. That would bother me. These are not cheap seats either. Row 4. I mean, come on, man. Just for heckling? Work out? You look tired? Get your in shape? Whoa. Now,
Doncic claimed the fans was cursing him out during the whole first half.
Right. And McMahon is saying, I was sitting there the whole time. No, he wasn't. He was just heckling you. And Doncic's like, you didn't hear what he said. And McMahon's like, well, how could I not? He's sitting right behind me.
When asked why Doncic didn't have him thrown out in the first half, he said they paid for the tickets, but I'd had enough. It's a little bit of frustration. If they're not now, if indeed the guy was swearing, you're going to get tossed for that.
Yes. And justifiably so. I have no problem ejecting a fan who's using foul language.
And he did say ass, because he said, get your ass on the treadmill.
Yeah, that's
not swearing.
No, that's not worthy of ejection. That's worthy of somebody coming up and go, hey, you got to make sure you got to keep it clean. All right. Got families around. But try to tone it down a notch, okay? Don't make us come back. So,
and I guess this is because I did hockey and I did minor league hockey. We'd get on the bus after games and the players would start talking about getting heckled and we would laugh about it hysterically. Two things that players paid attention to. If they got heckled and it was good, and they could generally tell you where every good-looking woman was sitting in the lower bowl. And every once in a while, you'd watch a centerman on a face-off do a couple of pirouettes before he jumped in the circle. You want to know why? There was somebody that caught his attention in the crowd.
You mean he's not stalling for time so that his goalie could get some rest?
Dallas Stars games usually take a little longer than everyone else's games in the league.
Boy, you got that right, especially back in the day. Madonna would take forever to do a face-off. My goodness. Yep. So that's all. We hadn't talked about it. All right. By the way, Trent, you're the NBA guy. You're the younger guy. Okay. You okay with them pointing to your buddy there in row 4 and getting ejected?
No. I think I think fans need to do something egregious. Like, okay, remember it was a few years ago when there was a Sixers fan courtside who gave Russ the double bird, like right in his face and got up close to him. That's worthy of an ejection. Throwing things on the court, that's worthy of an ejection. But just heckling when you're upset because your team isn't performing very well, soft. And look, Luka is someone who has had some epic trash talking bouts with the likes of Devin Booker. And so he's the last guy that can complain about heckling, in my opinion.
And Luka's really good, but come on, he looks soft.
Yeah, play better.
Yeah, Luka looks like he's always going to have handles.
Exactly.
Like he's the guy on the playground that, your buddies are going, how come he keeps driving by you, man? He's pudgy. You can't stop him. No, you want to try? I don't care what he looks like. You want to try? I will say this, like, let's just say there's a group of us and I'm doing the heckling. But if a group of fans complain to security and go, can you get them? He's ruining our enjoyment of the game. I do think that you're worthy of being ejected if you're, the 30 people around you are kind of like, wow, you're ruining my night.
Yes, like if you're cussing up a storm and you're drunk and disorderly and you're sloppy and you're all over the place and you won't shut up, or that's one thing. This clearly was reportedly nothing like that.
No.
And by the way, Dave McMenamin he's a very well-respected reporter in the NBA circles.
Are we sure it's the same guy?
Oh, it's not McMenamin? It's Dave.
I thought it was Dave McMahon.
Okay, my bad.
Okay, I didn't think it was Dave McMenamin.
Different
I thought it was
guy.
Dave McMahon. Who's just purely based out of Dallas. ESPN in Dallas. Could be wrong. But that's how I read it. So, and McMahon, by the way, said to Luka, 99% of the stuff I've ever written or said about you is positive. How could it not be? He basically was saying, toughen up, dude.
And I think this is a microcosm of a bigger issue with the Mavericks and maybe Luka's disappointment with how they've handled the situation since he kind of rose to stardom 3 years ago.
It's rabbit ears, if you ask me.
Yeah.
I
me
mean,
too.
Luka, grow a set. I'm sorry. This is pathetic. The more I think about it, I get worked up. You're an elite athlete. You're getting paid. This is where I do bring the money up. You're getting paid the money you're getting paid to play, and you can't handle a fan heckling you, and you have to have that fan thrown out? Holy, get off my lawn.
The people that use the NBA as a punching bag for being soft, and that, like, this is perfect ammunition for that kind of thing.
The other thing that it's evidence of, and Miller and Moulton have agreed on this from the very beginning. Yeah, the athletes know everything that's being said and written about them.
Everything.
Everything. Don't believe a word they say. Now, some of them try really hard not to. The problem is everybody around them is hearing it and reading it. And they will tell them, hey, did you hear what Moulton said about you? No, man, I don't listen to that show. No. Oh, man, I don't want to know. Oh, I'll tell you, next time you see him. Oh, yeah. Oh, they know.
Well, and some athletes are motivated by that type of thing. So while they might not directly take that stuff in, their camp will tell them things to get I know LeBron's like that. I remember LeBron famously in 2011, it was reported that when they made it to the finals against Dallas, he had a list of personalities and reporters that he was going to call out after he won. He obviously ended up losing that year with the Heat, but that's how the story goes.
And look, you want to come back and call it if it means that much to you, go ahead. When you're right, call them out. The problem with calling them all out, though, is every time you make a mistake, then you have to be big enough to take the heat you're going to get from them.
Right. It is our job to talk about and commentate and analyze what we see. And newsflash, you guys do a 4-hour show. That's a lot of talking.
Oh, we know.
You're inevitably going to be very wrong about some things, and that's fine.
But the other thing that we're big on is like Stephon Diggs. He got very consistent at the end of the year. He wasn't talking. Didn't matter. They won a playoff game. He didn't talk. They lost. He didn't talk. Diggs stopped talking to the media. That I can respect. That, what drives us crazy is talking when you win and not talking when you lose.
I wish I was with you guys last year for the Dylan Brooks LeBron situation where he, I poke bears. This is what I do. And then all of a sudden he's not talking to the media after any game after that. Like that's ridiculous.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
But they all listen.
Yes, they do. Michael Jordan heard everything. Hell, he twisted everything. He turned it, he made it up into grievances against him. Who the hell was saying anything bad about Michael? And Michael had a grievances list.
You know who's one of the best twisters is Kirby Smart. Nobody believed in us.
Yep.
Are you kidding me? You were the odds-on favorite all year long, but whatever. Go ahead.
Yep. We were doubted. Really?
Been ranked number 1 the entire season.
Literally never lost.
Two-time defending national champion, favorite in 13 games. Well, I'm sorry. When did this doubt creep in?
Miller and Moulton. Good, bad, and ugly. Today was a day when what's on tap, all still ahead as we roll through a Thursday on Miller and Moulton.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6 and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
Visit Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
20 years ago, Jason and I had the idea for a jewelry store like no other, with a vast selection of certified diamonds priced 8 to 12% over cost. A team of individuals who are educated, driven, and believe in cultivating relationships.
Today, we have become one of the largest independent jewelry stores in the country. Todd and I love what we do and are in the store nearly every day, along with our GIA gemologist, master jewelers, custom designers, and non-commissioned diamond consultants, all of which we consider family.
As direct diamond importers, we travel the world, forging relationships and sourcing diamonds. What we love most about our business is that we can call Southwest Florida our home.
If selection, value, and comfort are important to you, give the Diamond District an opportunity. You won't find a better diamond buying experience. Todd and I look forward to shaking your hand and welcoming you to our Diamond District family.
At the Diamond District.
Mark Miller for Molly Maid. Why Molly Maid, you ask? Trust. Moulton was a customer for 15 years. Affordability. Didn't I just say Moulton was a customer for 15 years? Worry-free services. Our professional house cleaners are fully insured and a 24-hour warranty. Call Molly Maids today at 239-774-5839. That's 239-774-5839 or online at mollymaid.com/FTMYERS. That's mollymaid.com/FTMYERS. You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Mark, I'll tell you, I like Jonathan Smith a lot. I like all the stuff that you're seeing him, the transfers he's getting.
I read a article. It graded every coaching hire.
Yeah.
And the only A+ they gave was on him.
Really?
They gave other A's. They didn't give a lot of bad grades, but they gave that an A+. So we'll see.
What hire?
Michigan State's.
I like it a lot. And I know we had the old debate weeks ago about if they'll ever be good again, if they'll ever win the Big Ten again or anything like that. I don't know, but I just, with this 12-team playoff, it's like you can put together a good year and get in. Be the 10. Heck, they could be higher than that because even with the Big Ten getting stronger, it's like.
That would get me back to EL. If Sparty hosts a playoff game in December, I'm going back to EL.
That'd be a great time. But I mean, you got to keep.
I would go if they're on the road.
Yeah, I know, but it would be cool to see them host one.
Sure, I agree.
When was the last time you were there?
With Michigan State, it's been Jake's 25, 24. Jake was about 10 or 11. I bet you it's 13 years since I've been. It was a Wisconsin game.
Was Russ on the team?
Yeah. I think. Right around there.
Was it the Hail Mary game?
No.
No. Okay. I was at the Washington game last season. Because that's when I was still living in Tennessee. So I made the 8-hour drive up, and some of my friends, we all went to the Washington game. I remember at halftime, we all looked at each other. We're like, okay, remind us to never spend money on whatever they were at that time on a team at this point in the season ever again. Penix just lighting us up. We went to the bar at halftime.
By the way, September 21st, South Florida hosting Miami. Miami in the first 4 games of the year is playing in Gainesville and in Tampa.
On the 21st night of September?
Is that a magical day?
No, it's Earth, Wind, and Fire.
No.
No.
It's the 3rd of September. Oh, no, that's a different song. That's Papa Was a Rolling Stone. It was the 3rd of September, the day I always remember. Sorry.
I'm here for it.
Yes, they did Canada relief. We're not allowed to talk about them. Actually, we are. Trent can't. He's paying off a debt.
Yeah, your comment just is a bunch of asterisks in my head. I can't see any. It's a bunch of like swearing in a cartoon. That's what it looks like.
I will say, San Diego, it's real easy to love getting booed and heckled when you're winning all the time.
Yeah, because at that point, it just comes with the territory.
I got to admit, I think the Lions match up really well.
Here we go.
Welcome to the bonus hour, brought to you by Jason and Todd at the Diamond District. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
21 minutes past the hour. Good, bad, and ugly. What's on tap? Today was the day when. Final thoughts, a couple of picks, all coming up. Bigger loss for college football, bigger gain for the NFL. Jim Harbaugh leaving Michigan for the Chargers. Mark.
I'm sorry, David. You're going to have to say that again because something happened and I didn't hear a word.
Well,
you
we
said.
know what your answer is going to be.
Bigger loss for college football, bigger gain for the NFL. Harbaugh.
It's a much bigger loss for college football. I think this is a sad day for college football. I really do. They losing Saban to retirement, losing to Harbaugh now. I just think you had Harbaugh was the voice of the Big Ten. It wasn't Ryan Day. It was Jim Harbaugh. And the bringing Michigan back was not easy.
No.
And now keeping them there will be even harder. And college football is a better place when Michigan's good. It just is.
Ooh, you just stumbled upon a poll question that we probably should have asked. Instead, we asked our poll question, that Mark Miller, the David Moulton, FloridaSportsNetwork.com. Harbaugh signed a 5-year contract to be head coach of the Chargers. How much time do you give him? Over, under 4.5? I went under.
60-40 under right now.
So which team stays its current team, if you know what I mean? Michigan or Bama?
Bama.
Who's going to drop off more, Michigan or Bama?
It's a great question.
They're both going to drop off, by the way. It's just a matter of to what degree. But Kalen DeBoer is not keeping Alabama.
No. And I would say Alabama has a better shot of keeping on over Michigan because, as Angelique Changelis pointed out on our show earlier this week, Michigan's NIL department is not great.
By the way, Alabama's not paying top dollar either. There was a thing out there called the Saban discount. I mean, Nick would sit down and say, this is what we can pay you. And I understand you might be able to get more over here and over here. By the way, can you follow me through this room? These are all the people we've put in the NFL. That wall over there is the people we've gotten picked in the first round. This wall over here is the people we've put in the NFL. You want to play in the NFL, right? That discount's gone.
And it will be interesting to see how Alabama gets the money to keep up with the Joneses. Because they don't have A&M money.
No, they don't. And also, I mean, let's face it. Can we envision anybody shaking down the boosters for more money than Nick Saban? I mean, really? You're going to give Kalen DeBoer more money than you were going to give Nick? Even when Kalen comes to you and goes, hey, man, price has gone up. Yeah, I don't know what to tell you. I'm really fond of him. Hey, whatever he asked for, I gave him. I got to go talk to my wife. and my business manager. I'll get back to you.
It'll be interesting. Alabama's already lost a ton of players to the portal.
Like 25.
Now Michigan's window is going to open up.
For 30 days. 30 days. What was that old Bob Ryan line about Pete Carroll needing a tailback at USC? He'd open up the window and go, "Hey, I need a running back." And 4 elite ones would come running. 30 days. You get to call that whole roster.
I do think this first year in both those guys' absence, Harbaugh and Saban, is very important for both programs because, as we know, life comes at you fast. The game nowadays comes at you faster than it ever has with the portal and NIL, as you guys have talked about. So whoever I think is able to put together a better season this year, and I think that's more likely to be Bama, just given Michigan's schedule, I think that's the answer to David's question. Who's going to drop off less? I think we're going to find out starting in 2024. You got to set the tone with the new coach and the new look of the program.
Listen, they were going to go 8-4 with Harbaugh as
right.
coach. Okay, that's so I do think it's, this was going to be a major step back year for Michigan. It just was. They're losing too much. But I think, and Mark, you tell me if I'm wrong, I think their fan base would have been fine. Be like, well, it's the price of winning a national title. We geared up for 3 years. We made our run. Now we got to retool. Okay, we have
Depends
faith.
on the 8-4, David. It depends on the 8-4.
Well, you're losing in Columbus.
They're not going to be that happy with the year.
I understand, but I think they would understand that this is the natural progression of events.
I wonder. You might be right, David, but there is such an arrogance to the Michigan fan base that they think they've spent this time climbing the mountain and they've looked at the Georgias and the Alabamas that have stayed there. And the other side of it, David, is that I'm watching people putting out their preseason rankings for next year and having Michigan in the top 5. And I'm going, what in the hell are you thinking about? So when I see that, David, I'm imagining that Michigan's going to have a top 10 preseason ranking, which is going to tell all the fans, hey, we're fine.
Yeah, they're really doing an injustice to that Michigan team and the new coaching staff.
Totally.
That's just not right. I think Trent mentioned it yesterday. What was TCU coming off appearing in the championship game? What were they preseason, like 17? And that even was fool's gold. But at least they were ranked 17th, not in the top 5. Because they lost 7 guys in the draft. TCU lost 7 guys in the draft off that team that played for the title,
including their starting quarterback. So yes, at
Right.
least the AP voters looked at it and they were like, okay,
Yeah.
you're still going to be all right. You went to the national championship,
but you're not going to be
You're gonna
elite.
Exactly.
I mean, if Michigan is a top 10 preseason ranking, I mean, honestly, that's ineptitude by the people filling out the rankings. It really is. I mean, we got 5 games right now they're not going to be favored in. I mean, how can you rank them preseason top 10? They're losing their whole offensive line. They're losing their quarterback. They're losing their star tailback.
Hey, Alabama next year. They play Georgia.
Yeah.
They won't be favored in that game.
It's in Tuscaloosa, though, right?
It is.
Yeah, but I agree with you. Georgia will be a small favorite.
They'll be at Tennessee. Will they be favored in that game?
Mm-hmm.
No.
At LSU, will they be favored in that game?
Probably not.
And at Oklahoma will be close.
But that's 4 very competitive games for Alabama.
Not including Auburn. And they have Auburn at home, but
Right. Auburn will be a lot better next year, by the way, than they were this year. And Alabama will not be as good next year.
and Alabama goes to Wisconsin as well early in the year. At Wisconsin.
That reminds me, remember Les, one of the beginning of Les's downfalls, he scheduled the Badgers in Wisconsin. Was it at Lambeau? I don't think he played at Camp Randall, but I think it was at Lambeau. Yeah, and Wisconsin got him.
Alabama at Wisconsin, September 14th.
That's awesome.
That's part of what you and I were hoping would happen
Yep.
That's, to us, one of the positives of the 12-team playoff is Michigan and Texas playing a game in September. Alabama and Wisconsin playing a game in September. This is one of the benefits that we believe happens when you can actually put a 9-3 on the board and get yourself into a playoff.
Mark, don't overlook South Florida coming to Tuscaloosa, visiting Bryant-Denny Stadium. It's actually the week before I think Alabama goes to Wisconsin.
It is.
So that could be a poll question. I mean, the Michigan and Alabama going to stay Michigan and Alabama without Jim and Nick? I don't know.
It's tough to get there. It's tougher to stay there. And now they have to do it with new coaches. What will happen with Michigan and Alabama? Miller and Moulton. Thanks for listening.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6 and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
The waterways of Naples are a beauty to behold, and the Bayfront Inn has multiple ways for guests to enjoy the water and have some fun. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn. Something for everyone. On 5th Avenue in Naples.
The law firm of Michael F. Hornung specializes in criminal defense, DUI, nursing home claims, and auto accidents. I'm a former prosecutor with over 34 years of experience. The information I know is information you need to know. If you've been arrested for a DUI, time is of the essence to maintain your driving privileges. Call the law firm of Michael F. Hornung for a free consultation. At the law firm of Michael F. Hornung, we are committed to excellence in your representation. Being a local attorney with local knowledge is clutch to the success of your case. For over 30 years, we have successfully represented the citizens of Southwest Florida. For a free consultation, call 239-437-0095. That's 239-437-0095. Our offices are conveniently located in Fort Myers. Visit online at mfh-law.com.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
They literally have Mercer in between LSU and Oklahoma.
So, did you guys see Boomer Esiason, his report that Ben Johnson to the Commanders is a lock, apparently? That's what Boomer Esiason said. I don't know.
He's got a relationship, I believe, with the guy they hired from the Niners.
Okay.
To be their GM.
Just putting that out there. Looks like Ben Johnson to the Commanders is going to be the move for them.
You gonna be okay?
Yes. He has pissed me off lately, Ben Johnson. Doesn't run the ball on first down.
Okay, you need a Snickers. You gotta just go for a walk. Unbelievable.
David Montgomery getting 9 carries is criminal.
Schefter's reporting that Fangio's getting the job this morning in Philly.
Yep.
But the reason I bring that up is because Adam, who is a Jaguars fan and likes Mark Brunell, it looks like Mark Brunell might get the promotion to OC if the Lions want to stay in-house. He is the quarterback's coach right now, and they're obviously going to extend Goff. So,
you quit betting the Pistons, right, until yesterday?
Yeah.
They've covered 6 straight.
Ooh. I'll stay away then.
That's really funny.
Been doing it all year. Hasn't worked. Stop doing it. Starts working. Seriously, though, David, the Lions not running the ball at all in that Bucs game, really, do you think that was a game plan because of Vita Vea up the middle? Or do you think it's just him being stubborn and cute? It worked.
Don't get me wrong. I thought in that game they should have run the ball more too.
Yes.
Okay, but I think they thought, also once the one corner got hurt late third quarter, they're just like, yeah, this guy can't cover St. Brown. So that's another reason to keep throwing him the ball.
Yeah. Again, it worked, so I'm not like I think their best chance to win is to run the ball first, establish the run, and then let Goff deal a little bit. And if the first play for the Lions on offense against the 49ers isn't Goff taking the snap and handing it off to Gibbs or Montgomery, pick your poison. I don't even care who it is. I'm going to lose it. Here we go.
Welcome to the bonus hour, brought to you by Jason and Todd at the Diamond District. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
22 minutes till the top of the hour, 16 until we're out of here on this Thursday edition. Pat Kerwin tomorrow, our picks tomorrow, as we'll dive into Kansas City, Baltimore, and Detroit and San Francisco. AFC Championship game first. NFC game is the nightcap. Couple of quick notes. So the Washington Wizards fired their coach today, Wes Unseld Jr. They haven't named a replacement yet. Vic Fangio, apparently it's already a done deal with the Eagles. Well, that was fast. There was no tampering going on there.
Not at all.
No, it was fine. With the once again, you tell me you're the Eagles, I'm the Dolphins, and I guess there's a bit of a code in the league. I guess this is allowed. But I don't know, man. I signed Vic last year. I made him the highest paid assistant coach in the league. That was a big deal. I'm just going to let him walk to you for nothing? I couldn't get a 6th round pick from you. If you were the Eagles and I was the Dolphins, I said, listen, I'll let you go, but you got to give me a 6th round pick.
I'm just curious, when was the contract? My only question is, when was it a 1-year deal for Fangio? And was the contract up? Was it coming up in, say March, and they're just letting him go a couple months earlier than when the calendar year's done?
There's got to be some sort of.
And I get, like you said, David, I guess it's some kind of code, because you don't ever hear of coordinators getting draft picks. So, yes, I would want one, but there's no real precedent for it.
Okay, but do you think the Eagles would have buckled? I mean, like, I think Nick Sirianni and the Eagles are desperate. I think they would have paid the price.
You could be right. There's no doubt that that this was a done deal, and there's no way to know if they would have ever paid any sort of price because the Dolphins just let Fangio go, and he's now the Eagles' new DC.
So if Vrabel gets a second interview in Carolina today, I find that interesting that Vrabel would even seriously consider that. If you were a coach with any pedigree, in fact, I wouldn't take the Carolina job if I was an assistant who's never been a head coach before. No way. I'm not kidding. I know there's only 32 of them, Mark. Mark, let's put this in our world. Okay, you and I are going to a different station. We want to go to a different station. If that station was Carolina, would we go?
No, because you're set up to fail. And who knows if you take the Carolina job, if you'll ever be able to get another NFL job, because best case scenario, I mean, you know, I know what Houston and Indianapolis did is remarkable coming off of the years they had, but does anybody see Carolina turning this around in 2-3 years? Are you just the guy who's waiting for the next guy? 3 years from now, you're going to get fired too. You have an inept owner who doesn't know what he's doing. Now you're dealing with a first-time GM. It's a leap of faith and an astronomical leap of faith for an assistant coach to take that Carolina job right now. But someone's going to. And Canal is being talked about. But where, I'm wondering what Atlanta's going to do. Because they've interviewed Vrabel now twice. They've had Belichick in there.
They've also had 3 other guys in twice.
They've interviewed 12 different people for their head coaching job.
Right. 5 of them twice. Vrabel was over Arthur Blank's house yesterday before he flew to Charlotte. Looks as if they've soured on Belichick. That Arthur's listening to his front office, who are all like, no, man, anybody but him.
Because they'll kick us out.
Right.
And he's going to keep up with the same instead of trying Bill Belichick. And that means Belichick's going. Belichick might not be coaching because he's not interviewed anywhere else.
Well,
Belichick and Pete Carroll should put their heads together and bring an ageism suit to the NFL.
Here's my question. If you're 72 years old and you're left out of the coaching cycle when there's 8 vacancies, do you get included in the coaching cycle next year when you're 73?
Seems unlikely.
It's time for someone to take back this segment, if for no other reason than to stop David from talking about Meghan and Harry. Here's Mark Miller with Today Was the Day When.
Start today in 1924. The first Winter Olympics opened in France. 1959, the first transcontinental commercial jet flight, LA to New York on American. Care to guess what it cost, David?
$19.
$301.
Wow,
1961.
That seems like a lot of money back then.
Yeah. Well, flying, David. It's not cheap.
Well, that's true.
The first live presidential news conference was televised today in 1961. Couldn't get that Kennedy guy on television enough, David.
No way. Good looking, tan, even though it was black and white.
Today in 64, the Beatles had their first U.S. #1 with I Want to Hold Your Hand. The movie MASH premiered today in 1970. Today in 1981, the 52 hostages arrived back in the United States from Iran. It was the same day as Super Bowl 15. Oakland 27, Philadelphia 10. At the Superdome in New Orleans, Jim Plunkett, your MVP. Super Bowl 21 was today in 87 at the Rose Bowl. The Giants slaughtered the Broncos 39-20. Phil Simms, the MVP.
One of the greatest days of my life. First Giants Super Bowl win. I never thought it would happen.
Today in 91, Brett Hall scores his 50th goal in 49 games, the third NHLer to score 50 in less than 50.
Who was it? Bossy. Oh, less than 50. So that's
Yeah.
Gretzky and wonder who the other one would be. Would it be Mario?
I think it's Mario. And it didn't have it in the thing, and I forgot to look, so that's on me. 98, Super Bowl 33, Broncos beat the Packers 31-24. Terrell Davis, your MVP.
That was a huge upset. Green Bay going for the repeat. They were like 12-point favorites. It's one of the 5 biggest upsets in Super Bowl history.
And 2 years ago today, Keith Yandel became the NHL's Iron Man, appearing in his 965th consecutive game.
And then like 3 weeks later, he got benched, right?
Right. Etta James and Steve Prefontaine both born today. Carl Eller is 82. Chris Chelios is 62. Essa Tikkanen is 59. I had to mention Essa. You know, that's a soft spot for me. And Alicia Keys is 43 years old today. What did I miss, David?
Essa Tikkanen, by the way, did so much trash talking, but he did it in a language that nobody understood. And it would drive people in hockey even crazier.
I love Essa Tikkanen.
I did too. He was one of those guys in which you hated, but you desperately wanted him on your team. He was a second line winger. He could put, he could score key goals. He could shut down other forwards when you needed him. He talked trash the whole time.
Edgy.
Yes.
Played with a chip on his shoulder.
Used his stick
a lot.
You're not supposed to. The world's largest diamond was found today in 1905. Did you see this story? How big this diamond is?
I did not.
3,106 carats.
How do you wear that on your finger?
I don't know. Todd and Jason, what the hell are they going to do with that? It weighs over a pound.
You need a
diamond.
big band. Right. It's a big necklace.
The first Emmy Awards were today in 49. And Manson and his followers convicted of murder today in 71. So that's all I got.
You've heard folks elsewhere mock Florida is gonna Florida. Well, Mark Miller sees it differently. He calls it the good, the bad, and the ugly. What you got, Mark?
We go to Traverse City, Michigan for the good, where a 65-year-old man fell through the ice in a lake. Michigan State Police officer Cameron Bennett was there to try to help rescue the man and was having trouble getting out to get the tethered rope to the man. While in the water, the man says, "Get my pup. She'll come to me." So they call the dog Ruby, who brings the rope to the man in the water and helps rescue his owner from the frigid, icy waters. Way to go, Ruby.
Yeah.
For the bad, we go to Denver, where Jeremiah Young was arrested after a no-injury hit-and-run crash. See, he works for the Denver Sheriff's Department, and after crashing his car, he decided he'd file a stolen vehicle report with the Denver Police Department the same day as the crash. His vehicle was never stolen, and he was a police officer, and they quickly figured out that he's an idiot and was arrested. And finally, the ugly. We go to the gritty streets of Cape Coral, where Timothy Brewer was at Backstreet Sports Bar when he was asked to leave after getting aggressive while drunk. He left after causing disturbance. Then he came back with a knife. He pulled out a pocket knife, started yelling obscenities. Police were called. He admitted to having the knife and handed it over to officers without incident. That is the good, the bad, and the ugly on today, January the 25th, 2024.
Half dozen games in the NBA. TNT double dip tonight, 7:30 and 10. The Heat are getting 7.5 at home against the Celtics. Miami having lost 4 in a row. These teams genuinely don't like each other. This goes back to the big three for both teams. This is a 15-year rivalry here. And they've met in the playoffs enough times that it has continued right on through. Boy, 7.5 at home with the Heat. I know it's the best team in the league, but don't you think that Boston gets Miami's best game tonight?
After the way they played against Memphis? I would hope so.
The second end of the doubleheader, Sacramento at Golden State. Golden State's a 1.5-point dog at home. That's interesting. College hoops tonight. FGCU at home for Lipscomb. And FGCU's getting 2.5.
Don't you have to take the Eagles getting points at home?
If you're going to take them at home.
I like FGCU tonight. Give me FGCU in the 2.5.
Okay.
There's only one rank. There is a million college basketball games tonight. There's one ranked team playing.
Yeah, I was just trying to scroll through and find them too. There's only one ranked team
Yeah,
playing.
and it's at 11 o'clock tonight.
And
It's
they're-
Arizona at Oregon State. Arizona's laying 18.5. David, would you take the Beavers an 18.5 at home tonight?
Absolutely. Have you been to Corvallis? Yes.
And this is our theme of the year. Ranked teams going on the road against unranked opponents in conference.
So, yes, I would always take a home dog in college basketball. Always. A whole bunch of games in the NHL. Tampa Bay's at home for Arizona, and they're sizable favorites. Your guys' Wings are hosting the Flyers.
It's a big game for both.
Yeah, they're separated by 3 points in the standings.
I love the Wings tonight. Maybe a bad omen, but I do.
I will say Flyers have lost their goalie now. Their starting goalie to this World Junior sexual assault story. Devils have lost 2 key guys because of it. I would expect both teams to make a deal here pretty soon. Flyers, who have had a tremendous first half of the season, their backup goalie is not good enough to play 35 games in a row and carry them to the playoffs.
No, he's not.
They got to go get a goalie, and New Jersey's needed a goalie for 2 years, maybe 3. So could see some wheeling and dealing in the NHL because of this World Junior scandal.
Yeah, I think you're spot on, David. You're going to have, particularly in Philadelphia, and we've already talked about Jersey didn't lose a goaltender. They need a goaltender.
And they lost their best faceoff guy, one of the best in the league. And that's a big deal in hockey. Possession of the puck's kind of important.
Well, and then all the other teams that we're looking at, Tampa needs to add to that roster. This is going to affect the Tampa Bays of the world that are trying to make moves because this just added more teams into the mix that are going to need players. Because I don't think any of these players are playing the rest of this year, David.
No, I don't think so either. I think the league will act in unison, and I think they will play it safe. And if that's the case, then I don't know how many of them are playing next season either, because I don't see this sucker being adjudicated by October either. Football Friday tomorrow with Pat Kerwin. Thanks for listening, Miller and Moulton.
Visit Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
When choosing something of high value and personal significance, such as a